for Nolan Xavier Wells. 18 years old, gone too soon. Mississippi, y'all got some explaining to do. Mississippi, need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? Talk. I pray the family get a real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the Most High gonna really deal with you. July 4th lights, boat ride with the crew. Young King Nolan chasing dreams, Ocean Springs through and through. Horn Island called his name, he relaxing in the blue. 2 days later found on the sand. What happened to you? Independent autopsy dropped, but it's undetermined. Red mark on the back of the head, neck structures missing. Absurd. State sitting quiet, toxicology on the shelf. Family screaming for truth, but y'all protecting yourself. Nolan was a star athlete with a future bright. Now his mama crying every single night. Boating trip turned nightmare. Questions in the air. Who was on that island? Why the silence there? Mississippi, need to release that report. Low down, dirty ass Mississippi. What you hide? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? I pray the family get real answers. And no, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today. Mississippi, the Most High gonna really deal with you. Grand jury waiting, but the people still fighting. No severe trauma, they say, but the story don't add up clean. Waves whispering secrets, covering up the scheme. Oh, young black man gone, another one in the South. History repeating, time to open your mouth. What you hiding in them files? Why the delay? Transparency dying, why the family pray? Nolan's light was shining, future snatched away. Now the whole world watching what Mississippi say. We marching, we posting, we demanding justice loud for every mother losing sons behind that murky cloud. Oh.
I pray the family get real answers.
No more games, no more lies.
No more games, no more lies.
Nolan deserved better, the truth never dies. From the island to the courtroom, we standing tall. Mississippi,
Your reckoning,
gon' come.
one and all.
Finding all. Mississippi, need to release that report. Release it now, release it now, release it now. Need to release that report. Mississippi, what you hiding? Why you not talking? Why the hell you not saying a damn thing? I pray the family get a real answer. No, we the people won't go away. Never, hell no, not today, not today. Mississippi, Most High gonna really deal with you. For Nolan Wells, we won't go away. Release the report. Justice now.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, hello Didi in Dallas, Mr. Elevation, Yemaya is here. Okay, let's get into it. 504 Nola, Lillian X, OG Patrice. All right, Tangi is here. Love Christy, the lovely T, Emperor Rex. LL is here. Rue Pitt. All right, Gregory, I see you. The infamous Marty Marr. All right, Pearly. Let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. I see you, Buckhorse DC, CJ the Cat, 57 Beige Pops, the Lounge. Hey, beloved. All right, just anticipate. With that all being said, we the people. Okay, Truth Brown. And so everybody get ready to hit that like button. We're gonna get started in just a second. We're gonna have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Hey, Betty Boop. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribe Healthy Hair Growth for your natural or relaxed hair. Try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right. So that all been said, don't forget that you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find her products at Walmart.com. And please don't forget that she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so let's get into it. You all, for those of you that tuned in last night, shout out to you because that was a spur of the moment. That last live was a spur of the moment when we found out that there was an arrest for the threats made against Judge Ashley Cole and also the report on the autopsy report, which turned out to be just what I already said it would be. And I'm sure you all knew the same thing, that they weren't going to release it. Now, for some that think it's just so cut and dry as, accidental drowning, I just wonder why they just didn't go ahead and release it to the public. And will they ever? I have several questions. Now, but we have a more pressing issue. You see, the thing of it is, beloveds, hold on. The thing of it is, as I was just thinking about all of the hatred and the vitriol, and the devils are working so relentlessly to make it look as though we are the ones who are out here being hateful. They're looking as if they're trying to act as though we're the ones, just spewing hate and spreading division. But the fact of the matter is, this country's always been divided, and it was never us who chose to do so. It was never us that chose to do so. And I was just sitting here thinking about how, it's okay when they want justice. It seems as though Black Americans, it's like we don't deserve justice in this country. It's like we can't get justice. I mean, we get ridiculed and criticized and hate spewed and threats made simply for asking for justice. That's what's happened to the parents of Nolan Wells, but not just him. It's like so many people are being attacked, even the white people that are allies that are speaking up for Nolan. These people are so insane. They have to be narcissists, the lots of them. Okay. And it makes no sense because even though I thought Austin was a bully, I still think he was a bully and racist, and he learned it from his father, sadly. I still said RIP to Austin Metcalf. I still said I'm sorry that that young man is dead. But at the end of the day, do they ever say anything like that to us? They don't care. Even if you're innocent, guilty, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. They don't want us to get justice, to speak up about the ills that happened. They just want us to sit here and take it and take it and take it and just be silent. I'm not even going for it anymore. Jerron, we're not muted. You need to go out and come back in, beloved. Just go out and come back in. Now, with that all being said, let me just get into some of this BS. Okay, let me get into some of it because it is so exhausting that these darn devils just can't leave us alone. Let me go to what Nolan's mother posted. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I mean, you're not even allowed, as a Black person in this country, I guess you're not even allowed to properly grieve your own child without MAGA minions saying something hateful. That's what you're not allowed to do. Please pay attention. Now, it says, and this was posted on the 28th, the hate on social media is crazy, but the love and support will always win. Thank you to all of those who are standing with us and understand the assignment, which is to find out what happened to Nolan. To those of you who have been spewing hate, I pray you and your family never go through a tragedy like this, where there are so many questions with little to no answers. Well, I hope they do go through it. I hope they absolutely do. Okay, I hope that in fact they get a huge dose of their own medicine. That's what I hope. I'm tired of being nice. I'm tired of sending well wishes to the people that would just as soon see us all dead. I am sick and tired of it. Okay, people who want to make threats simply because people want justice, who want to try to get people fired from their jobs, who want to turn on people who've not done anything to them, mind you. Do you all know that the lady Janetta Bradley has been attacked? All this backlash simply because she enhanced that audio to help get justice for Nolan. So now they have attacked her too. And it's all so ridiculous. These people are nonsensical. Okay. They are of their father, the devil. And I'm talking about the MAGA minions. Okay. That's who I'm talking about in case anyone's confused. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because here's the thing, they have set up a gifts and go for this lovely lady. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. I mean, are we living in 1955? Because it sure feels like it. Okay. If I had to guess. Now, this is the lady right here. She is receiving so much backlash that the next person who has done an audio enhancement that I'm going to let you listen to momentarily, they don't even want their name out there. They don't even want their name out there, and I don't blame them because people are insane. Support for our family after threats and hate. Okay? Yeah. And then when we donate to our people who are being threatened, who are going through things, then they want to tell us that they're grifting. Okay, that they're just doing this, they're just trying to get money. But it's okay for Jeff Metcalf and Megan Metcalf to raise money even after Austin's dead and buried. What are they still raising money for? I have several questions. I have several questions. Like, everyone, please like and share. Hold on. And by the way, y'all, I can't wait to tell you all this story of this white teenager who tried to drown a black teen. And guess what the judge did? See, this is what I be talking about right here. This is exactly the kind of stuff I be talking about. Justice for some, but never for us, apparently. How that goes. Now, I'm going to this clip from Shooter King. I'm going to put an overlay on this because I don't have permission. Likes up, everyone, please like and share because I just happened to see this right as I was getting on here. And I said, this is perfect because this is what I'm going to talk about anyway, because I've already spoken on it days ago about how they were hating on the mother and giving her bad reviews. But the hate has continued and it has spread, sadly. So we're going to keep talking about it. And I don't care who gets mad. If the MAGA means want the smoke, then we can bring it. We can talk just as much trash as they.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's some sick, sad people out here in this world, man. So you got people now, you know, and I wasn't, you know, it just brought to my attention, are what they call Google bombing. I think that's the right word, where a bunch of people go to your profession or your job or whatever, and they leave a bunch of 1-star views on your account or whatever. And they're doing this to Nolan Wales' mother. Now, the crazy part about it is, it's like, there is absolutely no reason, and I mean no reason at all, for anybody to do this to this woman. All this woman wants is answers. She and her husband want answers. What happened to their son? That's it. As far as people saying, well, everybody just wants to accuse this person and accuse that person and accuse his so-called friends and y'all making it about race. The parents of Nolan Wales have done none of that. So what is the reason for you going, a bunch of y'all just, well, we're going to Google bomb her so she'll get a low rating on Google? Why? What is the purpose of that? What has she actually done? She ain't done nothing. She hasn't done anything outside of the fact that she has endured the worst kind of pain that a mother could endure, which is losing her child. To add on top of that, like, and these are the same people that sit up here and say, well, racism doesn't exist. And obviously, because what is the point in you doing this to this woman who has done nothing to nobody? What would be what is your reasoning? What is your logic behind that? You got to be some kind of sick animal to do this. And then the crazy part about it is when you got people like Brandon Tatum, which I don't have nothing against Brandon Tatum. You know, your life, your thought process, whatever, that's on you. But my thing with Brandon Tatum is you call yourself the whistleblower. And you the whistleblower for black people. But black people doing something wrong and we not going to make it about race and we not going to and that's all well and good. Fine. But this is where people have a problem with you, man. You quiet about this stuff. About this maliciousness towards a mother who has lost her child. She has not accused anybody of anything. She didn't say. All she's saying is that, hey, me and the father, we want answers of what happened to our son. And if you're going to blow the whistle all the way around. Do that.
But he isn't going to do that, though, is he? No, because he's one of the people who do the rage baiting. He's one of the people who makes everything about race, but he wants to point the finger of blame and shame at us and try to twist it around. He makes these things about race. That's what he does. He paints these narratives and tries to flip the script and gaslight and deflect and act as though it's us that's the problem. No, it's him and the people who think like him. Now, everybody with sense knows that MAGA are the ones who make it about race. MAGA is the one who's making it about race, and they always do because they're racist. So that's what they do. They don't just do these hateful things to black people, even though it's us more so than others. But these are the things that they absolutely do, okay? As it pertains to the immigrants as well. That's what they do. They go up to immigrants and ask them, tell them you're in America, speak English. Isn't that what they do? Of course it is. Who are they supposed to be? If they're in Mexico, are they going to speak Spanish the whole time they're there? Of course not. But these people are so hateful. They don't even like other white people. They don't even like other white people who don't act like them, who may be entrenched in black culture, who may have grown up around us, or those who try to help us and be allies when we're going through injustices and things like that. They threaten them too. And like I told you all before, when I was in college, my professor said that when it comes to things like that, when it comes to those sort of things, they will absolutely take out the white person who's trying to help the black people. Hold on one second, beloveds. Hey, can you guys hear me? This is my dear sister, Lisa Cabrera. Follow her on YouTube also. Y'all know Lisa. She's a friend of the show. But Lisa, what did you just call to tell me?
No, I was telling Queen Ahmadiyyah that I was just over on TikTok to get some more updates on Nolan Wells.
Mm-hmm.
And I clicked into some of the videos and they're giving shout outs to Tisa Tales. And all of the information she's providing came directly from Queen Ahmadiyyah.
Thank you. That's what I told people.
I love it.
That's what I told people.
And she's using her words and everything.
Mm-hmm. Because she has a bigger platform and she can get away with it too.
And no, you're not making that up. I'm hearing it with my own 2 ears.
Thank you. I appreciate you telling me, but I'm not surprised because she's been doing that ever since the Diddy trial.
Mm-hmm.
And then her subscribers and minions want to say, I'm hating on her. Why am I hating when she's stealing from me? And of course, I'm going to call it out. And
Right.
they would too. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know, Lisa.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
I'll talk to you a little later, okay?
Yeah, I'll call you later. All right.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all heard that. Honey, this same another day, the same story. Like I told you all. The lovely T said that wig. Anyway, at the end of the day, it is what it is, beloveds. But that's okay as long as I get the information out. Now, back to what I was saying. They act like there's no reason for us to be able to get justice, and we're always starting these things and making it about race. But here's the question. Now, for the ones of them that have been saying that, the ones of them that have been saying that this is all about race and Ben Crump's a race hustler and all this stuff, what do they have to say about the fact that yesterday when Ben Crump did that press conference, this wasn't just about Nolan Wells? There's two other Black people. Okay, two other Black teens that lost their lives as well under the same circumstances. And for those of you who don't know, let's talk about it really quick. Okay, we know about Nolan, and then there's Daniel Irving, who I also reported on, went to Lake Ray Hubbard near Rowlett, Texas, with two peers, okay, who were white, on April the 13th and was found dead 4 days later. Now, his death was ruled an accidental drowning. But police later charged individuals with tampering with physical evidence after discarding his clothes and phone. That's the only thing they got hit with, tampering with evidence. Okay. Now, mind you, I told you all that a white business owner, even said that he had surveillance outside of his business and he saw them going to that lake. They were supposed to be going there to fish. That's what the story was. They said they were all going there to fish. That man said they didn't have one single bit of fishing equipment. Okay. And Daniel was on the swim team at school. So the likelihood of him accidentally drowning is very, very small. Okay. In a lake, please. It's not like he was in a river or an ocean. It was a lake. And his parents and his family, they all feel that someone killed him. And that's what I think. Because why is it always these Black folk going off by themselves with their white friends and they don't come back? And then it's called an accidental drowning. Then you have Tyler Smith, died under unclear circumstances within the same 3-month period, with local police similarly arresting an individual for tampering with physical evidence as the family awaits transparent answers regarding the official account of death. Okay, please pay attention. In all three of these, the first thing they said, oh, nothing to see here, folks. Doesn't seem to be any evidence of foul play. Looks like it's nothing more than accidental drowning. That's always the case. That's always the case. And I'm so sick of it, and we all should be at the end of the day. But then they want to turn around and point the finger and act like, oh, we're just making it about race. Well, it is about race. Okay, because why the hell when Black people go off by themselves with people who don't look like them, okay, and then all of a sudden one of these MAGA minions or several of these MAGA minions, they turn up dead. Let's not forget Daryl Lowry, who was only 13 years old, and I just reported on him last week, stabbed to death and drowned by two white teens at the same foster home that he was staying at temporarily. Okay, under the guardianship of a white politician. All right. So with that all being said, somebody needs to make this make sense. And here's the thing. Like I said, it's a two-tier justice system, and then it's okay for them, and they want all the empathy and sympathy for us. And let me tell y'all something. When Charlie Kirk died and people were clowning Charlie Kirk, because there was some people that were clowning him, I wasn't one of them, even though I absolutely think he was racist and didn't like him. Now, but there were some people clowning him and they got so mad and butthurt and all of that and want to throw people in jail for social media posts. But at the end of the day, people are entitled to their opinions, right? Freedom of speech, right? Only for them. Only for them. Because they can say and do whatever they want as it pertains to them getting justice, or them going against us and fighting against us for us trying to get justice. Look how they did Carmelo Anthony, clearly railroaded. While Casey Allison gets a minuscule sentence after it was cold-blooded, premeditated murder. How do you leave and go home, get a knife, and come back and stab someone multiple times? And it's also known that you Googled where to stab somebody so that you can hit vital organs and make sure they die. Okay? But Carmelo got 35 years just for defending himself. Now make that make sense. They can never make it make sense. But this is what happens here in the Divided Snakes. And it's absolutely egregious. Look at this. Let me share my screen. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Okay? I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And how many of them died in Mississippi, but they want us to turn our backs and look the other way and act like there's nothing to see here? There's no reason to have questions. There's no reason to be suspicious. Trey Reed was found hung in Mississippi. Rasheem Carter was found decapitated, okay, down there in Mississippi. Okay, with a part of his body in his mouth. And I think we can all figure out which part that was at the end of the day. But we're supposed to sit here and act like, oh, this has nothing to do with race. He just got drunk. And that's another thing that they do. They will praise the worst of their people, the most nefarious ones amongst them. They will praise them. No matter what kind of crimes, no matter how hateful they were, they will absolutely praise them. But then a Black person who was a model citizen, never been accused of any crime, a good student in school, helped others, even saved a life like Carmelo. They will drag them. Look how they're doing Nolan. All of a sudden, they want us to think this young man who was headed for success was doing illegal substances. And they pretty much say they guarantee that's going to be what's found in the system. How the hell do they know that? What did they do to him? I have several questions. Oh, he was drinking heavily. These are the things they do. And speaking of drinking heavily, let's go to this video. Lights up, everyone. Please like and share. The guy, Lucas Aviz. Remember he said that Nolan was drinking heavily? I wonder if he's going to go on Tatum's show next. And the reason I wonder that is because of something that was posted. Let me share it on the screen. Lights up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. Hold on just a second. Here we go. Now look at this. Lucas Aviz is next. Looks like Lucas Aviz is the next one to speak about Nolan Wells on the Officer Tap Dance and Tatum podcast. Okay, because here's his profile right here. And then someone by the name of Riley Lively says, try to send you a message regarding a comment you left somewhere. Please DM me so I can resend. But then here you have Rage Batum Tatum's wife, Corinne Tatum. She says, good for you, kid. One of the only ones brave enough to tell the truth. Okay? And they say, Lucas Aviz appears to be poised to speak out on Officer Tatum's podcast. Okay, he appears to be the next person expected to publicly discuss the death of Nolan Wells on Officer Tatum's podcast. The speculation grew after Officer Tatum's wife, Corinne Tatum, commented on a post connected to Aviz, writing, good for you, kid, one of the only ones brave enough to speak out. Now, Aviz previously appeared on Inside Edition, where he said Nolan had been drinking before the boat trip. As questions surrounding Nolan Wells' death continue, his family is still seeking answers through the courts, including subpoenas for social media records, with additional witnesses continuing to speak publicly. Many are closely watching to see what new information, if any, is shared and whether it can be independently verified.
Tense. Lucas Aviz is a college classmate of Nolan at Southwest Mississippi Community College. He says he went to Horn Island with his family and friends on a different boat and ran into Nolan there.
I'd say he's pretty hammered. He would slur his words. His movement was slow.
Nolan and 3 friends had arrived on Horn Island at around 11.
I mean, it was intense.
Lucas Aviz is a college classmate of Nolan at Southwest Mississippi.
Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. So you mean to tell me that's a friend of his? That's a friend of his? That's his friend? Isn't that pathetic? Warren wants us to think that he was ever Nolan's best friend. Trayston sat up there and denounced Black people in general, including the ones in his own family, and told us they don't know what goes on down here in Ocean Springs. They don't even know who they're messing with. That's what he said with his arms all folded and laid back on their couch with tap dancing Tatum. They don't even know who they're messing with. Yeah, we know who we're messing with. Okay? A token. Sadly, son, you don't know that's what you are. Sadly for you, you don't even know that's what you are. I want y'all to pay attention. This is all crazy. At the end of the day, that's what it is. But like I said, everyone's supposed to feel so sorry when they lose one of theirs. And then they sit there and don't expect us to have the same courtesy. We'll even go in on a grieving mother. How low down, nefarious, and wicked could you be? You have to be the lowest of the low. Period. But hold on. Let's go to this other clip. I want you all to see this because you all remember that low down MAGA minion Sarah Fields, the one who lied during the whole time the Carmelo Anthony trial was going on. Well, let's talk about her for a second because I just saw this as I got online this morning. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. So here she is. Listen to this. This is Sarah J. Fields. Now, Sarah is trying to discredit the audio engineer that cleaned up the audio recording of the boat tow call in the Nolan Wells case by pulling up her criminal history of a charge that she was on the record falsely accused of. Okay, Sarah, did you know that she was falsely accused? So I think it's only fair that we pull up Sarah's criminal record and put it under the same scrutiny. Oh, Sarah, you were arrested, were you? Okay, isn't that something? The pot talking about the kettle? Abandon and endanger a child with intent to return guilty. Say what now? I find it all interesting. I find it all interesting. But see, this lady here, she is a piece of work. Okay, she sat there and told all those nefarious lies and then had the audacity to say that she was going to sue somebody. Yeah, that's what she said. She was going to sue somebody. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's go to my TikTok from last night, and then we're going to move on. And we're going to get to that audio momentarily. I just want to make sure everyone's in here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Here we go. Today has been a whole lot. Okay, specifically if you're covering the story about Nolan Wells. Let's get into it. So just keep in mind and understand and know that we're all likely going to be sued, okay, if you're covering this story, because they're coming for everybody. Okay, they've already come for Kimberly. They're talking about they're going to sue Ben Crump, and this is Warren's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson, okay? So they're even talking about suing Ben Crump and going in on Al Sharpton. This is so crazy. This debacle has really gone too far. Okay, please pay attention. Now, it just seems like they're trying to silence everyone, and I get it. I mean, I wouldn't want people saying all these things about me either. And so that's why I wouldn't be telling contradictory stories. That's why I wouldn't have, me saying one thing and my friend saying another. In the police report, it clearly says that they spoke to them on July the 5th. Warren said on Tap Dancing Tatum show that he spoke to the officers on July the 7th and gave them everything he knew, crossed all of his T's and dotted all of his I's. Okay, so please pay attention. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would think this is absolutely a case of hit dogs hollering. Okay, please pay attention. Why is it that when people of my skin tone simply want justice and they want answers and they just have suspicions and questions, why is it that that's always deemed as hate by the same people who, when they have questions, they have suspicions, and nobody says that about them? Okay, please pay attention. And then they're talking about Attorney Crump saying that he's an ambulance chaser, he's grifted and all of that. I absolutely disagree. He's doing his job. Okay, that's what he's paid to do, and that's what he's supposed to do. And I find it interesting that they're not saying anything about that attorney by the name of Russell Latino, who is representing Bart Edmondson Jr. Okay, because at the end of the day, I think he's on a whole clout chase, and I think he's a grifter and an ambulance chaser, because I find it very interesting that allegedly he was posting about this story all the time because he really wanted to be in on it. Okay, and so now he is. So what's his motive? Because he's just a good person, or is he just grifting and trying to clout chase? Okay, the same thing they accused Ben Crump of, but nobody's saying anything about that, at least of all, not the MAGA minions. Okay, please pay attention. And maybe Warren spoke to the police on the 7th and some of the other friends spoke to them on the 5th. But what I find interesting is the fact that they said that the person that Nolan left with, the female that he left with, was unknown. Now, we all know that it's Katie McCormick at this point, right? But also, they said that Nolan had just met Katie. Had he just met her? Because one of Nolan's relatives say that they know her and her family and that they love her, okay, and that they don't have any ill will towards her. And also, weeks ago, it was reported, and I reported this on my YouTube channel, that in fact, Katie was talking with the family and cooperating with the police. Okay, so I mean, if I had to choose between believing Warren or Katie, I'm going to ride with Katie. Okay, please pay attention. And what did it for me was the fact that Warren's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson, offered a $50,000 reward for anyone with information leading to the person who or people that did anything to Nolan. Okay, please pay attention. I've heard this before. You see, back in 2008, Drew Peterson, he offered a $25,000 reward about 6 months after his fourth wife, Stacy, disappeared. Okay. And then he was later convicted of being the one who took her out. Okay. Please pay attention. Now, you may be wondering why anyone who was guilty of red rum, like Drew Peterson, would offer a reward when they know that they're the one who did it. Well, there's plenty of reasons: to control the media narrative, to manipulate the police, psychological exploitation, to deflect suspicion, and also to play the victim. I'm not saying that's what anyone in this situation did. I'm just telling you why sometimes people do those things. Okay, please pay attention. A shout out to everyone that's covering this story and trying to help the Wonsleys get justice for Nolan. At the end of the day, do not let them scare you into being silent, because that's what they wanted to do. And here's the thing. If they want to sue people for defamation, libel, and slander, they have 4 elements that they need to meet. The first one is they have to prove that it was a false assertion of fact, not protected opinions or hyperbole. Okay, please pay attention. I'm a criminal justice major, so I know the law very well. The next element is the statement has to be published or communicated to at least one other person other than the person that claims they're being defamed. Okay, please pay attention. We've all done that clearly because we put it on our platforms. Okay, but as long as we're not defaming anyone, that's not a problem. Please pay attention. And the third element is the person who made the statement must show fault. That means either having acted with negligence or actual malice. Now, I don't think anyone's being malicious. I think we just want justice for Nolan and his family. Okay, so please pay attention. And the fourth and final element is that it has to cause some sort of damage or loss, okay? Either damaging the person's reputation or causing them some sort of financial loss. Okay, so please pay attention. If that's the case, and it is, at the end of the day, then Mrs. Wonsley needs to be suing those nefarious people, okay, those MAGA minions who clearly went to the website and gave her fake reviews to try to make her lose her job. Okay, that's absolutely defamation. Please pay attention. And I think it's interesting that Dr. Benjamin Hudson is offering a $50,000 reward, because I thought that they all thought that Nolan just simply accidentally drowned. Okay, because there's all this talk about him having possibly done illegal substances and saying that he was drinking heavily, okay, to make it seem as though he just wandered off into the water and drowned. Please pay attention. Also, Bart never said that he was not in Ocean Springs for a year. He actually said, because I have the receipt, he actually said that he wasn't a past Christian for over a year. Okay, so please pay attention. And them saying that Ben Crump has turned this whole thing into a political circus, it just sounds ridiculous to me. At the end of the day, I think that they have turned it into a debacle, a nefarious debacle at that. Okay, so please pay attention. And also, let me correct myself. I think I said I was a criminal justice major, but I'm a criminal justice graduate. Okay, I graduated decades ago. Okay, please pay attention. And listen, if you do think that you may have misspoken at some point, just simply take down the video and re-record it or edit the video, but choose your words carefully moving forward. And with that all being said, keep up the good work. Okay, period. Period. I think they are. But let me show you all something, though. I was just in a live. I stopped by a TikTok live, which I'm going to play like 3 minutes of it for you all sometime during the broadcast. But here's the thing. I was basically listening to them go back and forth, right? And the MAGA minions in the chat kept saying, they're gonna send a live to the lawyers or something like that, or they're gonna call lawyers and all this and that. And the black people told them, go ahead, we got black lawyers too. So yeah, we do. So check this out. I meant to tell you all this yesterday, and shout out to attorney Carlos Moore, who used to be a judge down there in Mississippi. So that's why he knows how it goes. And this is what he had to say. Okay. He posted this yesterday, and I forgot to tell you guys. He said, if you live in Tennessee and receive a cease and desist letter from Russell Latino about comments you made relating to the Nolan Wells death investigation, please feel free to call me for a free consultation. If you live in another state and need a referral, I'm sure there may be other volunteer lawyers willing to provide a free legal consultation. I'm happy to compile a list if lawyers reach out to me privately. It's important to know what is protected speech and what crosses the line into defamation. By the way, how do I have more followers than the CEO of the Magnolia Tribune? Okay. He has more followers than you, Russell Latino, you clout chasing minion. Sit down somewhere. And speaking of him, he did an interview, and I know that's what he was dying to do. All that posted about the case. Oh, he couldn't wait to get in on it. Okay. He couldn't wait to get in on it. That's what he couldn't do. That's what he couldn't do. But hold on, I'm going to go to that just a second so we can drag him for filth since he wants to talk about sending out cease and desist. Oh, yeah. And by the way, they call themselves sending a cease and desist and a notice of preservation of evidence to Kimberly. Kimberly dragged them all last night. She's still talking trash, and she ain't going to stop, and we ain't going to stop. Okay? We're going to keep on rising to the top with that all being said. Now, this is what I want to show you all, because tell me this isn't nefarious. I want you all to see this. I might have shown you all this the other day. I can't remember, but look at it again, even if you did. Look at this. This is what they're selling out here, folks. Now, first of all, they had the Derrick suits so that white folk could dress up like us and go out and kill people who look like us in Chicago. Okay, yeah, that's what's going on in Chicago. And I find it interesting because as soon as something happens and we start complaining about justice or fighting for justice, then they want to say, well, what about all the people getting killed every weekend in Chicago? As if they really give a darn. Okay, they do not. They do not. They don't care anything about black on black crime. They just use that as a tool, okay, to try to use it against us as the propaganda that it is, because that's all it is a propagandist talking point, okay? Try to use that to try to shame us so we don't keep talking about the current issue at hand. All right, because if we want to talk about crime, let's talk about the crime they do as well, because all of these races and groups commit crimes. Now, hold on, before I get this started, let me say something. There was someone spamming the chat. They kept putting in the chat, Ben Crump, anyone who says something about Ben Crump is racist or something like that. Now, let me just tell you something. Ron McDonald says, right. I was not very interested in the Nolan Wells case, but now that the FBI and Bart's lawyer have threatened me, I'm going to talk about the Nolan Wells case for the next 50 years. They don't know me. So they have threatened you too. See, this is what I'm talking about. But Ron, thank you for letting us know that, beloved. We got your back. But listen, don't spam the chat, okay? When you put something in there, don't keep putting it in there because the moderators will swear you're spamming the chat, okay? But yes, this is what they're doing. They're out here, and not only them threatening people, they have these mega millions out here threatening people, okay? Getting in people's DMs, saying all kind of crazy stuff. They've threatened Secret Service Sam, okay? They have been trying to get Nancy Grace off the air. Isn't that something? I thought they loved Nancy Grace, but now, since she's on a different side of the fence, now they're upset. They want her taken down off the air. This is what they're doing. Then they said that they're doxed Janetta Bradley for simply clearing up that audio. Okay? And then they always want to say, some of them, like Tap Dancing Tatum, will say that we're racist. Well, what do they say when it's people who look like them saying the same thing that we're saying? What do they say then? Oh, I guess they say they hate themselves, perhaps. Now, check this out. Look at this mask right here. Now, tell me this doesn't look convincing.
Hello, everybody. This is Jay Sims, Army veteran, also retired detective. Did you see these masks are also sold on TikTok Shop? And you seeing how this guy right here is displaying this mask by impersonating a black person. So this person can probably essay somebody, rob a bank, do something heinous. The only thing he had to do is wear some black gloves, put a hoodie on, and guess who the person that the victim's going to say? It was a black person. And then guess what? You know what they say? We all look alike. So cops are going to be on high patrol, and anybody that matches the description of a black person with a wide nose will be picked up or either falsely accused and charged and spend some time behind bars.
And that's a fact.
Is this a setup? Because I need to know at the end of the day. As a retired officer, you have to basically go off what the victim is saying or witness are saying, regardless if it's a mask or not. But like I said, they're gonna pick up somebody, and this is not funny. They shouldn't be selling stuff like this, because this is just impersonating a particular race, which is black, and the outcome is not going to be good for no one. Leave something in the comments.
But they've been doing this for years with those Derek suits, okay? And they've actually been carrying out crimes. And let's not forget that white guy who had the gold grill in his mouth and braids in his hair and then put blackface on and went in a casino and robbed him. Okay, he got caught. That's the only reason they figured out that he wasn't black. Oh, no, no, no. The real reason they knew that he wasn't black is because he frequented the casino. And some of the people that worked there knew him. So even with the black stuff on his face, they still were able to recognize him, same facial structure and all of that. And he was usually wearing a grill. So I just find it all interesting. Okay? I find it all interesting at the end of the day. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. We can't win for losing. That's the sad fact of the matter. We sit here and try to get justice, and justice is denied. And then people want to sit here and try to go in on us and make all kinds of threats and everything else just because we ask for justice. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now, let's go to the case. Hold on. Let's go to this video of this attorney, clout chasing attorney, Russell Latino. Okay, because that's all he is. If you're posting all over the internet about this case and now you're involved in the case and you offered your services just so you could get involved in it, yeah, you're the clout chaser. Okay, not Ben Crump. Please. Online accusations spark threats after Nolan Wells' death. And, you know, it's interesting that Warren's dad and his dad both keep saying they received thousands of threats. Now, they're really trying to make it seem as though the black community is coming for them. I assure you, anybody making threats to them is one of them. Please, miss me with it.
The state, the reporting is that the autopsy has been completed. It has been transmitted to the sheriff's office. They have not made it public. They better make it public as soon as possible. Is the toxicology done? No. Why? It takes longer. But whatever information they have, they better put out. The family has not been informed yet. Okay? So why? Because transparency gives you a chance at having some kind of trust. But this story isn't just about due process. It's not just about the truth. It is an ugly manifestation of rage bait and enragement on social media. And the family has been treated terribly. The friends of this kid and their families have been treated terribly. And now someone is fighting back against these people who get paid per click to create outrage. 21-year-old Bart Edmiston, okay? Jr. He played football with Nolan in high school. He was on Horn Island on July 4th. That's where we believe Nolan died. He was even someone who helped the group of friends who left on the boat that Nolan came on. They say he did not come with them, and there is reporting to substantiate that. And he helped them because they had problems with their boat when they were leaving, and they called CETO and all that other stuff. He's now being accused online of being involved in Nolan's death, and he is getting death threats. His family is going to sue the people making those suggestions because they say it is an outright lie. And his lawyer, Russ Latino, joins me now. Russ, did I say your last name right?
You did.
All right, good. So the main part of this is somebody released a supposedly sweetened audio of the CETO call that alleges to have a background conversation that includes the name Bart and that was a huge triggering event. What can you tell us about the legitimacy of Bart's role in any conversation on that boat having anything to do with Nolan Wells?
Well, first, I would tell you thank you for your commitment to due process and talking about due process in respect to this story. I think there are really two tragedies here. I mean, the first tragedy is obviously that a young man lost his life who had a promising future, who was loved by everybody. I think the Edmonston family and lots of people in Ocean Springs are grieving for Nolan Wells and want his family to get the answers that they deserve. I think the second part of the tragedy, though, really is how America responds to these stories. And people have gone from a commitment to the presumption of innocence, to the rule of law, to the due process that you mentioned, to emotional tribalism, and candidly a form of game playing because social media feeds into this. You know, when you and I were boys, Chris, we played the game Clue, and we got to guess who was responsible for the dastardly deed and how they did it and where they did it. That's not real life, or at least it shouldn't be, but that is what is happening on social media. There is no evidence to date that foul play led to the death of Nolan Wells, but there are an awful lot of people that are assuming that the people who love Nolan, that considered him their friends, are culpable in his death.
There are two issues that are dogging this kid right now. The first one is an alleged enhanced audio of the CTO call that purports to have a background conversation that is suggested sounds like people explaining the murder of Nolan. What is the legitimacy of the audio? The word Bart is in there, and I know real people with real platforms are pointing the finger at your client.
Yeah, so we don't see any legitimacy in a doctored transcript or a doctored audio that comes with a transcript, which is a nice psychological.
I want you to pay attention. He immediately said that it's doctored. How does he know that? Has he tested it? Has he gotten forensic audio experts to take a look? How does he know that it's doctored? Okay. I absolutely don't believe it. And you're going to find out exactly why and how in a few minutes, because I'm going to play that new audio, which is very disturbing. Okay, which is very disturbing. But I'm going to play it for you, and there's an explanation of everything about the audio. It's not doctored, liar. Okay, the only thing that's doctored is your brain and your mindset.
A sort of game that people play with garbled audio. I'll tell you this. My client's role was to help drain water off of a boat that reported it being in distress. There were 20 plus people separated between those two boats. All of them saw what he did. All of them saw what did and didn't happen. There were two credible witnesses at least that saw Nolan Wells on Horn Island an hour and a half after those two boats left. And my client cooperated with the authorities from the very beginning, never required a warrant, allowed for the inspection of his boat, his GPS, his phone, gave list of witnesses, and answered every question that was asked. I think there are going to be a lot of people with egg on their face when the full investigative file comes out on this. I think the other part of this is very simple. You do not get to say someone committed first-degree murder if you do not have evidence to support your claim that they committed first-degree murder. That is defamation per se. It is illegal. It flies in the face of the due process that you were talking about earlier in our conversation. Right. And the end result of that irresponsibility are death threats being made to my client, people stopping in front of his house and then taking off when they're being confronted. They are in legitimate fear for their safety because there's some people online who think it's fun to play Clue with other people's lives.
And the idea that he had a relationship with anybody that was relevant in Nolan's situation, people took pictures offline from them in high school, that also is out of context, you say?
Well, the picture that people showed offline with the young lady, that wasn't even the young lady they claimed it was. They just made something up to create motive.
I told you all that, and Wig is the one who did that. Tisa Tales. She's the one, and I told y'all that was not the same girl. Okay, I told y'all that was not the same girl, and I think she took that video down because I don't see it over there now, and now she's defended Bart and blamed it all on Warren. But let's continue.
Right. I know exactly who the young lady in the photo was. So, yeah, people are just fabricating things wildly, and the consequence of that is that you've got people who are in legitimate fear for their lives. Our viewpoint is not, we can't stop the entire internet. But I think we believe that we can do enough to convince people that there are some potentially real consequences if you lie and it puts people in danger.
I'm here for it. It's why I started the podcast. Is I want to attack narratives that are just there for clicks because they cause casualties. Counsel, good luck going forward.
All right. Please pay attention. That's how you can tell somebody's out here doing it for clicks and views. When somebody is willing to just post anything, okay, that's how you know. And Tisa Tales does not give a damn about Nolan. I don't care who goes back and tell her I said it. I know she's listening. She doesn't care anything about Nolan. If she did, she would have been reporting on the story from day one. Okay? She would have been doing this from day one, and she wouldn't have been making up lies. She wouldn't have been making up lies. I told you all. That's why I hate when she jumps on the bandwagon for certain things, because all she does is muddies the waters. She knew darn well that wasn't that same girl. Okay? She knew that wasn't the same girl. So please sit down somewhere. Now they got this man out here talking about he's going to sue everybody. He can sit down somewhere. But the bottom line is, no one should be saying that they committed murder, because we don't know who did what. But we do have a right to have our suspicions, as I said. And I'll continue to do so until we get the answers that we need. Okay, so that attorney can sit down somewhere, because he's still a TEMU attorney as far as I'm concerned. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And hold on. Let me play the video of these two Black attorneys going in on him, and then we're going to get into this audio. And just for the record, they say Miss Rachel even spoke on Nolan's case. Yeah, Miss Rachel even spoke on it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I find it all so interesting. Hold on, beloveds. I'm sifting through here. Let's go to what Janetta Bradley had to say while I pull up my other receipt. Now, mind you, this is the lady that enhanced the audio, right? This is the lady that enhanced the audio. So she says, this will be the only time I address this. I have never hidden my past, and I've never denied it. The misdemeanor charges on my record are more than 20 years old, and the people who truly know me have known about them for years. Those records do not define who I am today, the work I've built, or the person I've become. They also do not prove that I committed any crime. Plenty of people like me are incarcerated right now for crimes they did not commit. That's a fact. We've spoken on it. Attempting to discredit someone by digging up decades-old records instead of addressing the substance of their work is a tactic I have expected from the beginning. It doesn't change why I'm here. I also want to be very clear. I don't want anyone attacking, harassing, or engaging in personal battles with anyone on my behalf. That only creates more division, and that's not my focus. My focus has always been one thing: justice for Nolan Wells. The questions surrounding this case deserve answers, and they deserve a thorough, transparent investigation. That has not changed. Now, to everyone who has supported me, thank you. Your encouragement, thoughtful discussions, and commitment to seeking the truth mean more than you know. Please continue to stay respectful, stay focused, and don't get distracted by the noise. Conversation should remain where it belongs. What happened to Nolan Wells? His family deserves answers, and that is where my attention will remain. Justice for Nolan. Okay, that was very eloquently said. Very eloquently said, and shout out to her for her amazing job on that audio. But now, let's listen to this audio. Okay, let's listen to this new audio. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And here it is. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to use an overlay because this isn't my video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now here we go. I'm about to start it.
Since I've heard it, it's just really disturbing. I've really been struggling. It is the clearest, most enhanced version of the audio call, the audio CTO call that was released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. This is unlike anything I've heard before. Someone reached out to me and sent it to me. I have verified that this person is who they say they are. They're an audio engineer with 20 years experience. They do not want me to share their name. I do know who their name is. I do know exactly who this person is. I don't know them personally, but I was able to confirm that they are who they say they are. And what is coming out in this audio, it's really disturbing. So I'm going to play that audio for you, and I'll let you come to your conclusions as to what you hear and what it means. I heard it, and it is disturbing, but I'm gonna play it for you and let you come to your own conclusions of what you hear and what it means. But before I play it, I want to read something to you that came directly from the person who created this audio. I spent some time with them on the phone today just to make sure that they're actually a credible source to do this. And in that conversation, I asked him, what did you do that's different from what other people have done to make the quality of this audio better? Because I wanted it to be credible, and this person explained to me in writing what they did. So I'm gonna read to you their explanation, and then I'm gonna play this audio. Trigger warning. I'm gonna play this audio so you can hear it and come to your own conclusions. But first, it's kind of a long explanation, so bear with me. I'm gonna read this explanation that they give, and then I'm going to play the audio for you and let you come to your own conclusions. So here's what he wrote. I am a professional audio engineer with over 20 years of experience. When I first reviewed the audio file, I realized that when I had on headphones that the dispatcher's voice was only playing on one side of the headphones, and the caller's voice and their background were on the other side of the headphones instead of everything playing on both sides like with normal music. It sounds like the agency uses either a gate or compressor or both, because the volume naturally goes quiet when there's no one speaking, but it's still able to record audio because the gate threshold isn't set lower to allow no audio when no one is speaking. This also means that the noise in the caller's background was loud enough to engage the gate to all this audio to be recorded, even when the caller is not speaking. This is actually the best way to capture phone calls for quality assurance. What this means is that you can hear the caller's audio and the background noises all on one side. So using the caller's audio as a starting point, this will produce something similar to Janetta's outstanding results, which I have repeated and can confirm that it's authentic. Additionally, when you listen to the call, there are a few instances where the dispatcher is talking and there's lots of noise coming through from the caller's return audio, meaning even though he's not speaking, whatever is loud enough on his end to be heard and gets recorded along with the dispatcher. What I have done differently was to focus channel 1, the dispatcher, and then selected any areas that I heard more noises than just the dispatcher. When I worked on raising the volume in these areas by applying gain, which is essentially raising the volume, this worked in areas where visibility, no audio can be seen. But the audio is actually there, but doesn't show up visually until you raise the volume. I did this individually on any area that looked blank. And I also applied this to areas that were simply low in volume, essentially making everything near the same volume level. Doing this reveals more of what was actually recorded. Absolutely no AI was used. Only normalize and gain was applied via iZotope RX. Not sure what that is. I'm not an audio engineer, but iZotope RX. No other tools were used. All basic audio programs have these two functions, and it doesn't falsely manipulate anything. It just raises the volume level. Now I have applied lots of gain because the voices are sometimes faint. So when more aggressive gain is applied, you start to hear the syllables in the words a lot better. Visually, the final audio file looks like what we would call as engineers too hot. But this isn't a regular recording. It's from a telephone, which only has a limited spectrum of sound. Normal audio like from a lavalier or podcast mic, would not be able to withstand this amount of gain. This is something I learned when engineering music for major labels. Now, I primarily engineer audio for TV commercials, city and state initiatives, as well as podcasts and interviews. I also do videography to keep the lights on. In my opinion, the clips are still noisy and a lot more can be pulled out, but the intent was to prove these pieces of audio exist. I don't want any reward. I'm not curating an audience. I'm just rattled after taking the initiative to see what I could do and finding what is unimaginable. I was already nearly done with the entire call when Janetta released her work. And respectfully, I fell back because I had already released a few short clips. However, after Janetta's backlash, I decided to publish my full version of the call. I initially called Ben Crump's office before releasing a single piece of audio, but after a few days with no response, I decided to go at it alone and started releasing short clips and eventually the entire call. When I went back and I started refining my work because I realized I missed a few areas where I did not apply gain and new voices and sounds appeared more clearly. This does take a while to go into each little part, but the result is something easier to listen to. It's not perfect, but I also know the law enforcement has a lot better forensic tools for audio isotope RX. Surprised they haven't done this already. So that's him explaining what he did. I'm now going to play that audio for you that came from him doing all the things I just read. Again, trigger warning. This was really, really jarring, but here's what he came up with when he cleaned up the audio in a different way, as I just explained in what he wrote.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. It's. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
Now, with that all being said, did you all hear that gasping? Did you all hear that gasping? That was absolutely disturbing. Once in the chat, if you all heard that. Hold on. Six, the truth says, I'm still not over Vicky asking if there was anyone breathing on the boat. I know, but he was playing dumb. Okay, someone said play it again. Okay, I'll roll it back, but just to that part. Well, it's kind of hard to do these. Hold on. Let me see if I can hold on, beloved. Okay, Brat's doll said when you listen, close your eyes. Yeah, and that's another reason I had it covered. Okay, so I'm gonna play it again, but hold on, I'm gonna get another get his link because this one it's hard to rewind it. Okay, because it's on his Instagram. Hold on one second. Hold on just a second. And let me just tell you all something. Here's something I want you all to pay attention to. You know how I was saying that they don't want us to ever get any justice. And when we do, they try to go in on us, specifically if it has anything to do with one of them. And here's the thing. You see, there's always been a history of criticism of Black Americans asking for justice in the United States. And that usually stems from ideological backlash against challenging and establishing or basically challenging these established power structures. And y'all know what I'm talking about, the system of wanton supremacy. Okay, that's what this all is about. That's what it's all about. The system of wanton supremacy. Because, like I told y'all the other day when I played that video from Robin DiAngelo, when she talked about white fragility. Okay, discomfort with social disruption and different interpretations of systemic racism. All right, the opposition frequently manifests through specific cultural and political narratives. And see, here's the thing, they deny us justice. And I was just reading just this morning where this man spent 43 years in prison for something he absolutely did not do. Okay, something he absolutely did not do. And he got no form of compensation, none whatsoever. He got nothing. 43 years. All he got was wasted time, time that he was robbed of. And somebody needs to make that make sense. But see, we don't very often hear these stories about people who don't look like us. Okay, that's what we don't do. Hold on, you guys. I'm getting the here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna play this again. Like everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I was trying to pull it up on another link. Hold on. All right, so I can fast forward it. So, because we already heard everything he had to say. So I want to just skirt past that. And also, let me just say this for anybody who's unsure about the validity of the audio, I'll say this, the initial audio is actually on the original. I mean, it's on CETO's website. So for the people trying to say, oh, that's not real, oh, that's doctored, yeah, it's on their website. Okay, the exact same audio. It just hasn't been enhanced. But that's exactly where it is.
Audio for you that came from him doing all the things I just read. Again, trigger warning. This was really, really jarring, but here is what he came up with when he cleaned up the audio in a different way, as I just explained in what he wrote.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. It's. We're just thinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
And this man said, what he says, why haven't they done this already? Isn't that what I told you all? I said, now, how is it that we have people online who deal in audio engineering and they have already started enhancing this stuff? Now, I know darn well they've heard this. I know they know all about it. We know that TMZ purposely, when they put it out, they didn't play the first part of it where we could hear all that stuff in the background. Okay. But at the end of the day, they know they've heard this. So why haven't Sheriff Ledbetter, why haven't they gotten someone to enhance it? Well, because likely, in my opinion, they don't want that. They didn't want it to come out. Okay, because that doesn't help their case. That doesn't help the cover up at all. In fact, it exposes the cover up even more so. Okay, please pay attention. Now, are they going to sue us for saying it's a whole cover up? Because I think we know cover up when we see one. And I don't think they want to go down that road because then they'd have to bring forth discovery. And we already know that they've been covering up stuff down in Mississippi for decades, okay? We already know that their medical examiner, Stacey Turner, has already had nefarious allegations alleged against her and has done some shady tactics that were quite frankly unethical and unprofessional. But there she still sits. I guess they don't care about morals and ethics and the rule of law down there in Mississippi, huh? Because clearly, if you have a whole governor that once wore blackface, okay, who spoke at something that's darn near a Klan rally, if you ask me, okay, sons of the Confederates, please. But we're not supposed to be suspicious. Nothing to see here, folks. Yeah, get the F out of here. That makes no sense at all whatsoever. They must want us all to be like Brandon Tatum, okay? That must be what they want. But that's not going to fly. Now, with that all being said, hold on, because we'll just go to that other audio that Janetta Brantley did one more time, too. And then we're going to go to what this woman says, okay, about whether or not, I believe she's an attorney, if I'm not mistaken, but she talks about whether or not this can influence a case or it can, help a case, basically, these enhanced audios.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
As a professional audio engineer with experience in dialogue editing,
Okay, so shout out to her. Now, Six the Truth said no, they were trying to pull off a Murdoch when his son deleted that girl on the boat. You know, I spoke about that the other day as one of the examples, okay, of how someone can be accused of taking someone out and then that same person offer up an award. Okay, a reward. Yeah, because that's exactly what Murdoch did. He offered like $100,000 reward. Okay, that's what he did. He's currently in prison too on a host of charges. On a host of charges. Please pay attention. Now let's get into whether or not that can help a case. Here we go.
Stress call from the boat the night that Nolan Wells disappeared. And some people believe that they hear Nolan's name. Others hear something completely different. But here's the real question. Can an enhanced audio actually change a criminal investigation? So, hey, y'all, Yolanda here. Wanted to pop on for this legal brief before I head back over to court, because this is one of those moments where I feel like understanding the law matters just as much as understanding the facts. And the one thing I've learned as a lawyer and a former judge is this. Investigators don't just ask, what do I hear? They ask, can I prove what I heard? And that is an important difference. So the distress call that has been publicly released tells us a few things, right? The caller reports that the boat is sinking, that it's taking on water. It gives its location, asks for help. But when the dispatcher asks whether everyone is on board, the caller says that everyone is on board. Those are facts that we can hear from the release recording. But what has everyone talking are the enhanced versions of that recording that are now circulating online. So now you may hear lawyers use the word authentication. All authentication really means in simple terms is asking one simple question. Can we trust that this recording is exactly what it says it is? Is it the original recording? Has it been altered? Do we know who's speaking? Can investigators verify what's being said? That's authentication in a nutshell. But now let's talk about the enhanced audio, because people have cleaned up the recording to reduce background noise and make quiet sounds easier to hear. That can absolutely be helpful, but cleaning up the recording isn't the same as proving what was said. If someone listens to an enhanced version and says, I hear Nolan's name, that doesn't automatically answer the question. It gives investigators something to examine. But before they can rely on it, they have to determine whether that interpretation can actually be verified by the evidence. That's why this matters, because criminal investigations aren't built on what people believe. They're built on what investigators can prove. And this is what investigators should be doing. Investigators don't stop with one recording. They compare it with witness statements, with phone records, with physical evidence, with timelines, and with every other piece of evidence that they've already collected, because they're trying to determine whether or not those pieces fit together to tell the same story. So, can enhanced audio help? Absolutely. Can it become important evidence? You bet. But one recording, enhanced or not, is still only one piece of a much larger investigation. And there are still other questions people are asking, including what happened with that boat after the distress call, and how does that fit into the overall timeline? So as more verified information becomes public, I'll keep following the evidence. But listen, y'all, keep saying Nolan Wells' name, not because we have all the answers, because we owe him the truth. And the truth is found through the evidence, not through speculation. Share this with someone that you know that's following the case, and follow for more for the next part.
All right, shout out to her. And absolutely, that's the truth. Now, let's get into it, because I want to show you all that video, as I was telling you, with those two attorneys, what they were saying about the TEMU attorney. Like, up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on, here we go.
Someone simply resharing, reposting something else that they have seen on social media that made logical sense to them is not defamation. And in our state, the state of Texas, before you can even file a defamation suit against someone, you have to first send them a cease and desist and give them the opportunity to remove and clarify what they have said that is incorrect. So,
especially when they are with public platforms like this,
hello,
you have
matters of public concern.
Exactly.
So what it is if it's a matter of public concern, they don't want to stop people from being able to talk about crimes like this, especially where the goal is to obtain justice for the families, right? So therefore, he might think he's slick getting a lawyer who owns the Magnolia newspaper. But those of us who know the law can just give you some peace there. What are your thoughts on that, Lawyer Bay?
I think it's very suspicious because, and this is the thing, they like to run and get lawyers, probably TEMU lawyers, that allow them to make statements and put things like this out. These lawyers are not PR trained. They are trained to only go into the court and argue based off of case law, statutes, and things of that nature. What his lawyer did was very dangerous because you are placing a public threat with no legal backing. So you're also making certain admissions that now we can verify that you all now are utilizing, have been watching social media in order for you to now become a victim. We didn't tell Warren to sit his clear behind on that House Negro podcast and tell us that you were a part of the 3 boats that were coming out there that day. We didn't tell Warren to sit his clear behind on the Negro House podcast and tell us that you were the one suspected of providing them with help in emergency. They said they were taking on water before they left Horn Island, and any reasonable person would have stayed and called CETO in order to tow them out before you go into a body of water when you're taking on water. Then he brought your name up and said, oh, Bart helped. So what? Please make it make sense to the TEMU lawyer who decided to give this statement that's saying that, oh, we're going to file defamation because under no circumstances X, Y, and Z. Well, X, Y, and Z is your clear friend Warren that put you in the vicinity at the time and then was making statements that they were joking with Nolan about a girl named Katie that just so happened to have some kind of association that people are alleging. So you want to try to threaten people in a newspaper in order to make them stop. That ain't stopping nothing. Tell us what happened to Nolan, and then this can stop.
Amen. Here. I'm with you. Wholehearted. Listen, someone simply resharing, reposting.
Now, let me just tell you all something, because I noticed something, right? This is what I noticed. And this is what I noticed, because this was not in the paperwork or in the article. It just said that he was going to sue for defamation. But if you notice, when I played that audio, hold on just a second. Let me go to the chat. Now, Ron McDonald said, YouTube has taken away my ability to send super chats. I'm too pro-Black for them. You probably are, beloved, because that is something that has been done to people. I've heard about it, and it's happened to me before, too. I just tried to send someone a super chat a couple of days ago, and it would not allow me to do so, beloved. But you can send it to my Cash App if you prefer. Okay, it's QueenAShakur. Okay, $QueenAShakur. Okay, so thank you for your attempt. Now, Sheila, thank you, beloved, says, thank you, Queen, for your hard work and dedication. Your efforts are truly appreciated. Blessings to you. Thank you, beloved. I really appreciate you and for your generous contribution. Thanks so much. Okay, peace, love, and blessings. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about it, because Russell Latino thinks he's slick, just like they said. He, in fact, is a TEMU attorney, in my opinion. And here's what he said now. If you notice, in that interview with Chris Cuomo, he said, he didn't say defamation. He said defamation per se. Oh, okay. That's a slick move. So let's talk about the difference between defamation and defamation per se. Here we go. So I told you all, and you heard it on my TikTok even, I've told you all the 4 elements that have to be proven in order for you to win a defamation suit, which he's not going to win because those elements definitely couldn't be proven, but he must have known that. So now he's filed it defamation pro se. Well, that's not going to fly either, and I'll tell you why momentarily. You see, here's the thing. With defamation pro se, basically, they don't have to prove that there was any sort of damages. Okay? Yeah, that's the difference. You see, they don't have to follow the rules of the standard, defamation, which requires the plaintiff to prove that the statement caused real specific financial or reputational harm, like I always tell you, which can be considered special damages. Okay, with that being said, the plaintiff must also explain the context or hidden meaning to show how that statement was in fact harmful. That's in regular defamation, but with defamation pro se, see, that requires no proof of actual loss or damages because the harm is considered self-evident and automatic on its face. And juries are allowed to presume injury and award general damages immediately. But I'm going to tell you why that's not going to fly. I'm going to tell you why that's not going to fly and why we're going to continue to keep talking. Okay? Please pay attention. Well, first of all, let's just talk about some of the categories that are considered to be defamation per se. So to qualify for something like this, it has to be a false statement that typically falls into one of the specific categories, okay? Universally recognized by groups. Like, for example, serious crimes. For example, someone falsely accusing someone of a major criminal offense, especially involving moral turpitude. So in this case, that would be something, okay? Or business incompetence, such as stating lies that hurt a person in their specific job or trade, like they're doing to Nolan's mom. And I find it very interesting that everyone's all in an uproar because these people are now playing the victims, but the real victims are still suffering. They're being threatened, they're being disrespected, and they're being mistreated and lied on. And no one said anything about that. Okay, but it's not about race. Let them tell it. And then also loathsome diseases. You know, for example, if someone lied and said that someone had HIV or something, or herpes, like Tasha K did with Cardi B, right? Or sexual misconduct, things like that. Okay, so that's why he's going down that road, because he feels like, oh, I don't even have to prove damages because there were no damages. Okay, his reputation, his finances, they have not been bothered. Okay, and then because it's a crime, but here's the thing. Did anyone really accuse him of a crime? People can have their suspicions, and that's just what it is. Okay, people are allowed to have their suspicions. And you see, the fact of the matter is, they just don't want us to talk about it. And the more they try to silence people, I just really feel like that just makes it look even worse. I mean, but what do you all think? Do you, and the fact that they're going through all of this, you know, at the end of the day, these are some of the same things they absolutely do, though. Like I told you all before. All that stuff they had to say about Carmelo Anthony, and not just him, even other cases, how they lied on George Floyd and everything. At the end of the day, this all makes it look even more suspect, in my opinion. Okay, please pay attention. Now, hold on for just a second. Hold on, beloveds. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, so like I said, it's like we can't win for losing. Okay, it's like we can't win for losing. But here's the thing. You see, you have a right for your opinions to be voiced. You have a right to speak your opinions at the end of the day. No one can stop you from doing that. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to pull up this next receipt. I had it already pulled up, but I accidentally deleted it. So I have to go back and try to find it again. Okay. Now, so here's the thing, and let me just say this. The reason why people, opinions are actually, this is the thing that the TEMU lawyer seems to forget, or maybe he thinks we're just too obtuse to know it. But here's the thing. The reason that you're not going to win a defamation lawsuit when you're going after people for simply voicing their concerns or opinions, their views or whatever. Even if we suspect that they did something, we can say that. We just can't say it as if it's a fact. And no one that I've heard has said it as it's a fact. Okay. And if they had, like I already told them on my TikTok, just go back, remove the video or edit it and move forward and choose your words more carefully. Okay, that's all you need to do, because opinions are legally protected from defamation claims. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Let me say that again. Opinions are legally protected from defamation claims. Okay, that's what that is. So please pay attention. People are allowed to voice their opinions. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this article. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so African Americans are not entitled to justice, because that's certainly how it feels. That's certainly what it seems like, right? We march, y'all mad. We sit down, y'all mad. We speak up, y'all mad. We die, y'all are silent. Isn't that how it goes? Isn't that in fact how it goes? Is it human to desire justice when one has been wronged? Justice is often couched in acts of revenge, and revenge is supposed to be relegated to God according to Christian scriptures, right? Well, at least that's what it says in the Bible. But wherever and however it might come, people who have been wronged desire and deserve justice. That is an understood principle of life, except when it comes to African Americans, FBA, whatever you want to call yourself, Black Americans. It is the strangest thing that so many people cannot simply understand, and in fact become insulted and even angry when African Americans seek justice, and they're so upset when that justice is given, which it usually isn't, because for us, justice is often elusive. Now, that's just a fact. So that reality struck a nerve when I read the words printed on a popular t-shirt, which is now being sold. And that's what I was just reading to you all, the phrase on that t-shirt. We march, y'all mad. We sit down, y'all mad. We speak up, y'all mad. We die, y'all are silent. Okay, where's the outrage for the cops who killed that little 1-year-old baby? Okay, Cohen Wiley. They even went in on a baby. Do you all remember that? It was just a few weeks ago. They even went in on that baby. They made memes laughing. One of them even made a tombstone with Cyrus on there. Okay, Cyrus Carmack Belton. They made a meme of a tombstone with his face on it and the names of other dead little children, Black children who were killed, and said something along the lines of I can't remember what they said. They said something about they were happy because another Black child died or whatever. But these are the wicked, nefarious things they do. But they want us to have sympathy when something bad happens to them. When someone like Charlie Kirk gets taken out, they want us to be sad along with them. Okay, they want us to be sitting here crying right along with them. But they don't cry for us, the good white folk. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the minions. They don't have any empathy and sympathy, and they hate their own people who dare to speak out for us. That's how they are. Okay, that's how they are. And then they want to come in our chats. I don't have anything to say to a mega million. Okay, I have no respect for them at all. Anyone that doesn't have common decency to have empathy and sympathy when people are grieving, when parents have lost a child, I don't have anything for you. And it definitely isn't respect. All I have is disdain, the same thing that the devils hold for us. Now, the indignation of so many at people taking a knee. Y'all remember that? That's the case in point, how they did Colin Kaepernick, kicked him out of the NFL, said that he was trash as a quarterback, said that he was disrespecting the flag and the veterans. But last I checked, the United States woefully disrespects the veterans. So many of them are homeless out there on the streets, can't get adequate medical help or health care for medical conditions or anything else. So with that all being said, We are disproportionately arrested, convicted, and imprisoned of crimes, and even crimes that we didn't commit. We're the ones most often exonerated because this does not hardly ever happen to them. And if it does, I want you to pay attention. They do not spend decades in prison. That's what they don't do. I saw a case on a crime show where a white man was falsely accused because there was another white man who looked exactly like him. They literally looked like twins. Okay? They literally looked like twins. And this man, he was out of there in 4 years. Okay, he was out of there in 4 years. Scoop says they always suppress evidence that will be in our favor, hence why we lead in exonerations. This is the real America. Exactly. That's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. And even in states where the Black population is lower, they still have the Black people as the ones filling up the prisons more so, and the most exonerations. And here's the thing, they use this against us. They'll say, oh, you all commit the most crimes. No, we don't. We just get arrested for the most crimes. We just get more time for the same crimes that they get. There's a nefarious, low down, dirty judge, a scoundrel down there in Florida who gave a Black teen, I think the guy was like 19 years old, they gave him like 18 years in prison, while the white counterpart who had the same history as him, they gave him like 3 years. And then, of course, another case in point is Carmelo Anthony and case in Allison. And that's not even the only cases. There's plenty of more. Scoop, thank you for insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So they don't want to hold their own people accountable, and then they'll sit there and have these MAGA minions who look like us, like Candace Owens. They'll sit there and have her coming out here lying, talking about the Black community is the only group of people that praise their criminals. She claimed that we were praising George Floyd simply because we wanted justice for George Floyd. Even if he had actually had a fake counterfeit $20 bill that day, did he deserve to die for it? What about due process? What about being arrested and going to jail and then having your day in court? But no, that's okay. The police get to play judge, jury, and executioner on Black people in the streets all the time. They just took out a 17-year-old Black child. Okay? They just took out a 17-year-old Black child. Let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Will his family get justice, or will they be dragged through the mud for filth for daring to ask for it? Now, you all remember I reported this story to you the other day, and that picture I had up there, it did look kind of strange to me that the guy had that big afro, and he looked a little older than 17. And guess what? That wasn't even him. This is the trick they do in the media, too. They switch out pictures and stuff, and I told you all this before. This is the actual young man right here. But let's listen to
was in a neighborhood park on Baden Lane. Police say officers gave Williams commands. He reached for his waistband and officers shot him. They found a water bottle in his waistband. And on Monday, Chief Lisa Davis says she believes this was suicide by police.
As investigators look into what happened, friends of Williams are remembering his life and calling for accountability in his death.
Several signs held by Austinites calling on justice for Williams.
Actions create big responses, and our response needs to be intentional, and it needs to spread awareness for everybody else because not everybody understands this.
In the crowd was the teen's father, Attny Williams, who did not want to speak on camera, but did share these photos of his son with KVUE.
Austin police say the case remains under investigation. The 3 officers involved are on administrative leave, which is standard protocol while APD investigates.
Police say Attny Williams II called 911 himself and reported seeing someone in a parking lot with a gun. When officers arrived, Williams was in a neighborhood park on Baden Lane. Police say officers gave Williams commands. He reached for his waistband and officers shot him. They found a water bottle in his waistband. And on Monday, Chief Lisa Davis says she believes this was suicide by police.
As investigators
beloveds, I'm sorry for letting that play again. I was trying to get the picture of this next little thug that I'm about to show you all. Because see, here's what happens. Now they're saying that it was, you know what I'm trying to say, that it was self-deletion by cop. don't believe that. Where's their proof? You see how they can spin any narrative that they want? So you really think that 17-year-old young man who does not have a history of mental illness, who has no history of depression or anything, okay, according to family members and friends, at the end of the day, he wanted them to take him out. That's why he did what he did. That's why he called the police. He likely was calling for help, just like many Black people have done, and only to end up dead. Remember Sonia Massey, who Officer Tap Dancing Tatum said that her death was justified. That's what he said. Said it was justified. Said it could have been avoided, but it was justified. Well, if it's justified, why is the officer in prison? Why was he arrested? But this fool, this minion, this is what he'll say. But hold on, because let's talk about this one right here. Yeah, let's talk about this one right here. And let's talk about what he tried to do. And see, here's the thing. They want us to not be seeking justice for Nolan. They want us to not be sitting up here being suspicious, but the same things keep happening over and over and over. There's a pattern, there's a history, and you would have to be obtuse to not recognize it. But let's talk about it, because here's what he did. Here's what he did. Listen to this. Should hopefully not be your defining moments. Massachusetts judge lets rich white kid off with no jail time after he allegedly tried to drown a Black teen while at the same time hurling racist taunts. The 15-year-old Cape Cod boy who pleaded guilty to trying to drown a 15-year-old Black acquaintance will serve absolutely no jail time after a Mississippi judge suspended a 3-year sentence in a juvenile detention center. 3-year sentence. That's the most they were going to give this little no good devil. Okay? But he won't even get that. Now, instead, John Jack Sheeran must complete 720 hours of community service and stay away from his victim, according to Judge Sylvia Gomes. This is what she ruled on Monday. Now, I want you to pay attention. Okay, I want you to pay attention. This was a whole hate crime because he was yelling racist slurs and taunts as he attempted to drown him. Now, I'm sorry. How many times does this have to happen before we're not supposed to look at it as if it's a race thing? MAGA minions, can you explain that? Now, Reddington accused Cape and Islands District Attorney Rob Galaboy of being a puppet master who had escalated an incident of youthful horseplay into something much more. Here's the thing, you all to pay attention. Didn't I tell you this is what they do? Didn't I tell you this is what they do? They always say it's horseplay or boys being boys. Remember the little 8-year-old biracial boy just a few years ago. He was 8 years old, just a baby. And these 14 and 15-year-old white boys went and grabbed him up, tied a noose around his neck, tied it to one of those tires that the kids use as a swing, put him on top of a picnic table and shoved him off and left him there to fend for himself. They wanted him to die, but instead he struggled, and then his sister or someone came along and helped him to get free. I showed you all the bruising across that baby's neck. It was absolutely egregious and clearly nefarious. And what did they get for that? Oh, they didn't get anything because the sheriff said, oh, that was just a prank. It was just boys being boys. So let me get this straight. If someone takes a little white child and does the same to them and walks off and leaves, are they going to say that's just a prank? Are they going to say it's just another case of boys being boys? We already know the answer. We already know the answer. Okay, please pay attention. Now, despite the light sentence, Sheeran's lawyer, Kevin Reddington, insisted his client was the real victim. Here they go with that Darvo tactic again, with that same old tactic. The client is the real victim, even though the teen, son of a wealthy ferry mogul, had pleaded guilty to the charges of attempted murder and assault with a dangerous weapon. Now, he pled guilty. But what did the judge tell him? The judge said, should hopefully not be your defining moments. Not your defining moment. And let us not forget Brooke Skylar Richardson, who was 18 years old and had a baby, okay, and then killed that baby, set it on fire and stabbed it, burned it in her backyard. And she only got 6 months. And that was for desecration of a corpse or abuse of a corpse. Okay. And I believe she lit that baby on fire and burned it after she stabbed it and killed it because it was already dead. What was the burning for? Because the baby was likely black. Because that was the rumor. That was the rumor. But she was white, and she had the complexion for the protection. Blonde hair and blue eyes. You think they're gonna send her to prison? Even though because she killed that little old supposed black baby? What about Kraken Grooms? Kraken Grooms was 16 years old, and a black family allowed him to keep their 1-year-old or 2-year-old. You know what he did? He molested that baby until it was dead. How much time did he get? Oh, that's right. He didn't get any time because someone recorded him doing it. They both should have gone to prison because you're sitting there watching him do this and you record it. But guess what? The judge said he recorded it without permission, without consent. So that's not going to be admitted as evidence. And so therefore, Kragen got off. Go look it up if you don't believe me. Okay? Just sick. Now, D. Major says, I commend you for your dedication to the Nolan case and all the other stories you cover. Have you heard about the Corey Ruiz situation in Madison? Also, Trump is still being very nefarious. Cheers. Oh, honey, Trump's going to always be nefarious. I'll have to talk about him sometime this weekend. Okay, I have to get back on him too. Okay, well, thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. You know, I have not looked into that case. Someone did put it in the chat yesterday, so I'll do that later today before the next live. I'll look into it, okay? Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So, yeah, no jail time at the end of the day. And like I said, they did the same thing when we tried to get justice for George Floyd. I mean, it does not even matter when we try to get justice or how we try to get it. Nolan's family has not ever said that this was a race thing. They said, in fact, that they hope that it wasn't about race. That's what they said, but still they're being called racist. They're being called haters. They're being called grifters as if they didn't give a darn about their own child. This is so ridiculous and egregious. And they didn't need money. They do very well for themselves. And so do Carmelo's parents, or at least they did before these devils got them to lose their job, got the father fired, or I don't know if he was fired or just left, but he had to leave the job because they kept coming up there being harassing him, okay, and telling lies. Now, let's get back to this little thug because they say he continued to be pelted with rocks as the little minion is what I called him the N-word as well as boy. Now, Sharon and another boy now surrounded him. They now surrounded him in water. Witnesses said Sharon repeatedly pushed his head underwater as the others laughed and called him George Floyd. Water went into my mouth and my nose and I could not breathe. This is what the victim said in a written statement. But they want to say that the one who did this and who pled guilty to it, they want to say that he's the victim. How does that work? He says, so I shouted out that I can't breathe and over and tried to get his hands off me. That's why they called him George Floyd, because he was shouting he can't breathe. Low down dirty snakes. But Sharon, according to police, was unrelenting, swimming under the water to grab the black boy's feet as he continued pulling him down. A witness, also a minor, finally intervened. And thank God he did. When I finally get to them, they were smirking. That's what the witness said in the police statement that he wrote. Now, Reddington attacked the alleged victim, saying the youth was playing the system. That's what the lawyer said. That's what the little thug's lawyer said, that the other child was playing the system. He is playing the DA. The defense attorney told the court. Sharon knew this kid, took him in. He spent more time in the Sharon family home than anyone, Reddington said as he rubbed his client's shoulders. Listen to this. This young kid will be branded a racist for the rest of his life. That's because that's what he is. Reddington said adults have confronted Sharon on the streets, calling him a racist. He referenced a report by forensic psychologist Dr. Paul Ziesel, who called the criminal charges against Sharon a travesty. Said it was a travesty. He literally tried to murder a black child. And to them, it's a travesty that we even dare to ask for justice. This goes back to the times back in the day when it was legal for them to murder black people, to hunt black people. It was okay. And it seems like it still is, because all these black people being found as strange fruit, and then the devil's lie and say, oh, nothing to see here, folks. It's nothing but there's no evidence of foul play. They wanted to do this to themselves. And now they're saying the same thing. I want you all to pay attention. Another trend is about to start, beloveds. We have to be very careful, because now they're going to be killing us out here in the streets and lying and saying that we wanted to have this done by the police. Suicide by cops. Okay, suicide by cops. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. You all better know this and tell it to your children. And if they can take out that 17-year-old child over a water bottle. First of all, who's walking around with a water bottle in their waistband? How would it even stay there? I want y'all to pay attention. This is nothing but lies. This is nothing but lies. I need to see video footage first before I believe it. I believe it's all lies and BS. Put a water bottle in your waistband and see how far you can walk. How long you can stand there before it slides down your pants leg. Okay, please make it all make sense. And even if it was in his waistband, y'all are going to shoot him multiple times, not to stop him, from running or anything, but they shoot to kill. They shoot you 10, 15, and however many times they unload the clip on black people, while the white folk can be fighting them, punching them, kicking them, pulling weapons on them. And what do? What do? They'll run from them. Just showed you all the video the other day of the white guy beating up the cop, trying to swing on the cop. And then the cop is running away from him while he gives chase. Not one shot fired. Finally, at the end, when he had nowhere else to go, and that's the cop, now he wants to pull out a taser. Well, actually, it wasn't even him that pulled it out. It was his partner who showed up on the scene. Anyway, listen to this. Says, politics, Reddington claimed. Politics drove the case. And then he starts blaming, victim blaming. And then he says, they say Judge Sylvia Gomes, she basically didn't want this child to go to prison. Saying that he also played a recording of the black victim apparently laughing at the slur. Well, here's the thing. Maybe he did laugh at the slur. Why are you trying to demonize him for that? Because had he reacted violently, then he'd be the one in jail. And I'm sure the judge wouldn't have been saying, well, let's not make this your defining moment. And maybe he was laughing because the thug was acting as though he were joking in the beginning. Because that's how it usually starts. It starts off as a joke, like they're just playing with you when they leave you in the water, stranded in the center of a lake, because they knocked you off the boat knowing that you can't swim. And you're sitting there begging and pleading, throw me a life jacket, I can't swim. And they laugh at you and taunt you, come on, you can do it. Come on, boy, swim, boy. Remember what that guy said? Remington, remember that? Remember the video I showed you of the black teen out there stranded until some other good white folk came and helped him, while his friends, the mega millions that he thought were down with him, sat there and laughed and mocked him, okay, and made chimp noises. And speaking of chimp, they even said that about the little baby, Cohen Wiley, said he chimped out. Like I tell you, I am not even joking, but these people are very, very disturbed. Okay? He goes on to say, we further agree with the court's announcement that this was not a matter of horseplay, but a criminal act. This is what the DA said. We also appreciate the court applying the facts of this case to the charges at hand and rendering a fair deposition to all parties. Now, we appreciate the court eloquently rejecting the defense's attorney's inflammatory and headline-grabbing characterizations. Addressing Sharon, the Judge Gomes told him, this should hopefully not be your defining moment. You will go off and do wonderful things in life, she said to a would-be killer. To a would-be killer, this is what she said. You will go off and do wonderful things in life. Gomes ordered Sharon to have no contact with his victim. He must also write a letter of apology along with completing 2 education programs. Now, he's been on house arrest after his father's $1.6 million Chatham home, or at his father's $1.6 million Chatham home, since he bonded out of jail in September of 2023. He got no consequences whatsoever. Okay, but we're supposed to trust the system? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. And you know, this right here, what's going on, this is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for years, for decades. Black people have not been deemed worthy of fair treatment, in spite of the United States Constitution, which says that all American citizens have the right to due process and to have the right for a speedy trial, judged by a jury of their peers. But see, for us, sadly, that's seldom been the case. That's seldom been the case because we're always considered guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around. And over, Black people fight for justice only to have the quest squashed right in front of our faces, okay, that they play in, okay, in front of our faces, in actions which say that this system and this country as a collective does not care about us. Like Michael Jackson said, they don't really care about us. And meanwhile, while others who are wronged by another person or by the system, they fight for justice, and guess what? They're encouraged to do so, while we are criticized for doing the same. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? A darn shame. And in spite of a historically stated fear of white men about Black men defiling the purity of white women, it has been more than the case, okay, or more the case that white men have ravaged African American women. You see how they flip the script? They try to paint the Black man as the brute who wants to go out here and ravage white women. Okay, but when the fact of the matter is, history shows the opposite. That it's Black women who have in fact been ravaged, okay, by their men, the MAGA millions. And they've gotten away with it. And if you dare to fight back, okay, if you dare to fight back like Reese Taylor, then you end up in prison. African American women were property and had no rights. There has been so little that we've been able to say or do to get justice against the people who continuously do all sorts of evil and wicked things to us, and disproportionately white men. Okay, please pay attention. Now, there is a story about this young woman by the name of Celie. She had been repeatedly raped over the years by her master. When she had finally had enough, she got up the courage to ask him to stop, a request which he clearly ignored. And when he advanced on her, well, she killed him and then burned his body. In a gruesome story, you know, it's a gruesome story, but the history of her abuse and identical cases of the same thing happening to scores of African American women is equally gruesome. And here's the thing. This isn't just something that happened during slavery. What about all of these Black women that we've recently heard about meeting these white men on these dating apps, going out with them, and then one of them's body was dismembered and put in different places throughout the city? Another one, the young woman was given something, some sort of illegal substance put into her drink, and she died. And you know what the police said about the killer? You all remember, because I reported this. Let me say alleged killer, because they darn sure didn't put him in jail. Okay, he's not facing a trial, as he should be, in my opinion. But the police said, oh, when I talked to him, he seemed like quite a nice guy. That's what they say about people who are likely killers. Make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. Now, they sat there and told this judge, sat here and told this young thug here, this shouldn't be his defining moment, and he'll go on to do wonderful, successful things. He should be in prison for the rest of his life. Well, not the rest of his life, but at least 10 years, in my opinion, for even daring to try to take somebody up out of here. But we all know that's not going to happen, especially when you have the complexion for the protection. And then when you have money, yeah, that's not how it's going to go ever. That's just not how it's going to go. Now, with that all being said, Miss Rachel and Nancy Grace, they say celebs begin speaking out on Nolan Wells' death, okay, as the case goes national. So the death of Nolan Wells, an 18-year-old who boated to a Mississippi barrier island on July the 4th and never returned, has drawn national attention with celebrities among those commenting on the case on social media. Now, among them are Rachel Accurso, known as Miss Rachel on YouTube, where she creates educational videos for children. And Nancy Grace, a former prosecutor turned television personality. Now, in an Instagram post that garnered more than 80,000 likes, Miss Rachel said Wells and his family deserve justice. She also pointed to the racial tensions surrounding the case after photos surfaced showing Wells, who was Black, with white friends on the day of his disappearance. Saying, we know the investigation and everything that followed would have been different if Nolan Wells were white and his friends were Black. That's what Miss Rachel wrote. Grace discussed the case on her Fox 1 television series, Crime Stories with Nancy Grace, where she questioned why the independent autopsy case did not identify findings consistent with drowning after Mississippi authorities said they believe that Wells accidentally drowned. Okay, she said authorities did apparently jump the gun at the get-go and say no foul play suspected. Well, I suspect foul play. That's what Nancy Grace said. Now, Grace added that she's not saying that it's a homicide, but said that there are a lot of disturbing circumstances surrounding Wells's death, including the discoloration found on the back of his head. Now, Ms. Rachel and Grace are the latest high-profile figures to speak out about the case. Actor Tyler Perry paid for Wells's funeral. Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick covered the cost of the family's independent autopsy, and Reverend Al Sharpton spoke at the funeral and offered a reward for information leading to an arrest. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon also interviewed civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who represents Wells's family, while director Spike Lee attended the teen's funeral in Ocean Springs. And let's not forget that Byron Allen, okay, the billionaire, he actually donated $100,000 to the family. Now, the investigation into Wells's death remains ongoing. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter and District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath promised a thorough and fair investigation into Wells's death. Though Ledbetter said earlier in July, no evidence showing foul play had yet been discovered. And, you know, even with that audio, well, I guess there's still nothing to see here, folks, according to them. So last week, an independent autopsy commissioned by Crump's law firm concluded that Wells's death, his cause of death, remains undetermined. Crump said the autopsy conducted by the Jackson County Coroner's Office shortly after Wells's body was recovered on Horn Island on July the 6th could provide additional answers. Myers McIlrath said last week findings in the investigation would not be released until after a grand jury review. And that's just what they're going to do. And it probably won't even be released then. Okay? Probably won't even be released then, as far as I'm concerned, beloved. So please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let's go to a couple of clips here. First off, let's go to Jolly Good Ginger, what he has to say about the case and that interview that Warren did. This is just a brief clip, and then we're going to go to Nancy Grace. We're going to watch a few clips of that. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Interview with Brandon Tatum, and not only did he lie, the lie he told is extremely problematic. I did a really full breakdown of this on a YouTube video if you want to go watch my complete analysis and input. He said the last time he saw Nolan Wells was 3 o'clock.
The last time I saw Nolan was 3 o'clock.
But then like 2-3 minutes later in the interview, he's talking about how they found the boat taken on water and had to be towed out, and it was 4:30, an hour and a half past 3 o'clock. And he said this.
Nolan was.
And let me just say, for those of you that missed the broadcast, when I showed John Good Ginger, when he was on Don Lemon's show, he is a former military or army interrogator, okay? He did that for years. And he basically broke down the lies.
Sitting by the...
Or shall I say, the deceptions is what he called it. Said that he was being deceptive.
Though, with that Katie girl.
So wait a minute. If the last time you saw Nolan was at 3 o'clock, then how did you know he was beside the boat with Katie McCormick at 4:30? Also, Katie McCormick's the person that they keep saying is who he said, I'm going to stay behind with. But Katie McCormick herself disputes that, and he disputes that in this same interview.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
correct
for Nolan to get on it. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking, and everybody's texting Katie, you know, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, you know, this is the last time I saw him. You know, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat.
This is a red flag from hell. Anytime you're talking about the timeline of events on the day in question, especially as it pertains around the last time someone was seen alive, he says Wyatt was yelling for Nolan from the boat. Get on the boat. Get the fuck on the boat, Nolan. He says that Katie's text message confirms she saw Nolan by the boat at 4:30, and he says that Nolan was on the boat, beside the boat at 4:30. So everybody says he was beside the boat at 4:30, and then they didn't take him with them. According to them, he stayed behind, but nobody else, the thousands of people on Horn Island, saw him after 4:30. 4:30 is the last time that we saw him alive, and that's when we caught you in this lie. Not only is 3 o'clock not the last time you've seen him, according to your own contradiction, but Katie McCormick contradicts that he stayed with her. This is a major red flag. You can't, it's not just a casual deception, casual lie. It's about the last time he was seen alive. Also, this entire Brandon Tatum interview thing is completely looks scripted, edited, and polished to complete a narrative. And from all indications, he's doing it jointly with the family. So in a scripted interview that's joint with the family, a little narrative spin interview, you still have this much deception. This is a problem. This guy lied.
Okay, y'all heard that? It absolutely is a problem. Okay, it's definitely given suspicious. Now, we don't know what they did or if they even did anything, but it's all given suspicious. Okay, and I have several questions, as I'm sure everyone else does too. Okay, everyone who's interested in getting justice for Nolan. With that all being said, let's go to Nancy Grace. Lights up, everyone, please like and share. You know, and Brandon Tatum, he needs to sit down somewhere. He is just sad and pathetic. Okay, absolutely is. I mean, he is so proud to be a MAGA minion. Let's get into it. Lights up, everyone.
Subpoenaing Nolan's accounts. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
Unless
on
you
here.
have a
We got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at
Particular phrases in that call, if it's to be believed, Nolan don't die. Sure, he's dead. Is he dead? Nolan, OMG, wake the F up. It goes on. I thought he was on the check his chest. That, if it's to be believed, suggests that Nolan was on that boat. Tatum says the witnesses are clear. He was not on the boat. Tonight, we learned in the last 24 hours, the Nolan Wells family hits social media giants with subpoenas for all information related to Nolan's phone. First, straight out to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Then we will be joined by Brandon Tatum. Dave Mack, what's happening?
Right now, Nancy, the family of Nolan Wells has announced that they are going after, they have subpoenaed documents for Nolan Wells' phone. They've gone to the media giants like, TikTok, Instagram, the Meta companies, everybody that Nolan Wells used to push out videos of what he was doing and pictures. And they believe that some material was deleted from Nolan's phone. And this is what they're trying to prove with these subpoenas, to get all of the information, as well as, by the way, the location tracking app Life 360. So you got Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta platforms, and Life 360. All of this, the court documents already filed, Nancy.
Nolan Wells's family slapped subpoenas on multiple social media giants seeking his account information and data. This into the investigation of the teen college football player's mysterious death. They were issued in the last 24 hours, including Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta platforms, Life 360. And these are according to court documents demanding the companies turn over all materials info related to Nolan's accounts. This includes current and prior usernames, passwords, email addresses, phone numbers, even displayed names. They want IP addresses associated with every account, all communications, chats, posts, stories, and info. His cell phone has become a critical issue in the probe into Nolan's death. What happened to Nolan? Now, his mother, Christine, says when her son's phone was brought to the family, they had concerns because there were no pictures or videos on either of his Snapchat accounts. Triggering their fear, items may have been deleted. That's what's happening. There's been a lot of controversy. Were photos, were texts deleted? Were snaps deleted? We've been trying to figure it out, but we're seeing through a mirror darkly. We don't know. But according to experts, a trail will be left if anything has been deleted, even if you delete it from the deleted file. Now, joining us, special guest, Brandon Tatum. You know him well. He's a former police officer with Tucson PD. That's what impresses me. What impresses a lot of other people is he is the star of The Officer Tatum. Officer Tatum, thank you for being with us tonight. Question to you. You interviewed, as we played at the get-go, several of Nolan's friends. Did they show you photos, videos, snaps of that day on Horn Island?
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for having me on. I spoke to 4 of the boys that are originally accused of being involved in Nolan Wells' death. And they did show me a lot of evidence. I want people to be very clear with this. I spent my career putting people in jail. My career is based on getting justice for people who have been done wrong. I've never been a defense attorney. So me going out and doing this was to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And in talking to these young men, the burden of proof is they're going to have to prove to me. I'm not going to listen to what they say out of their mouth. They're going to have to show me. And in many cases, they showed me videos of Nolan.
Now, why is he sitting up there lying? Why is he sitting up there lying? They're going to have to show me. They didn't have to show him anything. And then he said he wanted to get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. No, you wanted to cover up the truth. Tap dancing Tatum. You wanted to hide the truth. You low down dirty devil. You wanted to paint your own narrative because that's what MAGA millions like you do. Okay, that's what MAGA millions like you do. Okay, that's it. Nolan called him Hatem Tatum. Exactly. It's exactly who he is. Okay, let me put a more appropriate overlay on the screen. There you go. Perfect. Now let's continue.
On the island, they showed me videos of the boat when they were getting towed out, which is consistent with, kind of similar to what the phone call was. I mean, they showed me pictures of them with Nolan. They showed me phone records of them calling Nolan's mom and all of the above. So
And then notice he said them calling Nolan's mom. Like they're all just reaching out to offer their support. That's a lie. The only one who supposedly called her was Warren, and that's because he was acting like he was concerned. Okay, yeah, I said acting like, because if he was so darn concerned, why would you leave your poor friend on a whole island, okay, where there's not even drinking water, little to no cell phone service, but you leave him out there with no phone? Okay, that's what you do. Knowing that his car and his keys are at his friend's house. How do you think he's supposed to get there? Even if someone gives him the boat ride back to the dock, who's going to take him where he needs to go? They're going to ride him all the way around town. And then why in the world did Judge Ashley Cole sit up there and say that Nolan stayed behind and that he was supposed to be catching a ride back with another group of friends? Why did y'all tell the police? Why did they tell the police, tap dancing Tatum, that Nolan left with an unknown female, when clearly they knew her name was Katie McCormick? Why did they say that? Why did they say the boat was taken on water, and then Warren said on your show that the battery was covered? The battery was covered, but yet they drove that boat to and fro. They canceled the tow. The grandfather did. And I already showed you all the receipts on him last night. So if you missed it, please go back and watch. I find it all very interesting. But let's continue.
They seemed very consistent. They seemed very genuine. And they also proved to me some of the things that they had told me in the interview that I had with them that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel.
Officer Tatum, are you telling me that they had reception on Horn Island? Because many people are saying, well, the reason that there's nothing on Nolan's phone of that day, like there's no pictures, there's no snaps, there's no text, there's no anything, not because it was deleted, but because he didn't have reception. But you're telling me the other boys did have snaps, photos, videos, and reception?
Yeah, no, Nancy, let me clarify this for you. It wasn't that they uploaded this online. They showed me videos and things that they took from the boat during the outing on 4th of July. I was personally out at Horn Island. I rode out there on a boat, and I didn't have great reception there. And I left my phone in the boat when I got into the water and we were actually going out to do interviews.
Objection. Objection. You've been in court long enough to know you're going to get objections. You said you didn't have great reception, but you did have reception, did you not?
No, there was reception there. It just wasn't great, and it wasn't great enough for people, in my opinion, to upload. You can make a phone call potentially, but you wasn't going to upload data to a social media account. Now, could people take the steps to do it if they're dedicated enough? Yes, but it doesn't appear that would have been a frequent thing, given the fact that you probably had one or two bars out there. And I heard evidence of that. Not only did I see evidence of it when I went out there myself personally with my cell phone, when I listened to the CETO call, you could tell that the call dropped out several times. It seemed like they were having trouble at times hearing each other. So it is consistent. And anybody that travel out there that have gone to the 4th of July celebration, they know that the reception is not very great. So the videos that they showed me in call logs were things that were not associated to social media, that they never posted on social media. It was, pictures and videos that they took on their phone.
Okay. Let me refine my question. I take it from your last answer that the answer is yes, you had reception on Horn Island.
Yes, I did have reception on Horn Island.
We just played that CETO call. It's 2 words, SEATOW, and it's kind of insurance that people have that are boat goers. And if you have a problem, CETO will come and tow you back to the mainland. They said they had a problem. They said they were taking on water. One of your takes is that all the chatter that we're hearing, wake up, Nolan, are you dead, Nolan, wake the F up, Nolan, could be referring to the battery, the bilge on the boat, that it's all unclear. Regarding the boat being disabled. Apparently, it was not. Listen.
So first, at 9:56 a.m., the boat leaves the original dock. It arrives at Horn Island at 11:14. So at around 4 o'clock, there is a call to the Coast Guard about the boat. NBC News got a hold of it.
We're sinking. Can y'all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
Everybody's on board. So does that mean Nolan is on there? Who was on that boat? At 4:31, the boat leaves Horn Island and it is towed approximately 3 miles, and then the tow ends. So after 3 miles, they go back to the original dock, okay? They arrive at 5:44 p.m. So it looks like this is where Horn Island is, and this is where the original dock is that I am referring to. I looked it up, and El Camino Real Road is in Gulf Hills, Mississippi, which is right above Ocean Springs. So I'm wondering if this is the house where they got the phone. Now, the boat travels to Fort Bayou. At 6:06, the boat returns to the original dock. Then, from the original dock, the boat goes back to Fort Bayou, and then they go to the boat launch, and it is put onto the trailer and moved by the vehicle. Did they drop people off at the original dock, travel to Fort Bayou, pick somebody up, and go back to that original dock? And then from there, why was there an hour and 13-minute time gap? This boat was sinking hours before, and then they're just having it docked for an hour and 13 minutes. You would think they'd want to get that boat out of the water ASAP.
Stop.
Yes, you absolutely would. And I told you all that last night. I said, I think that's the time they were sitting there hatching their nefarious plan, trying to figure out what to do. That's why I think they were stationary. Okay, and I think I told you all it was 30 minutes last night, but yes, it was actually an hour and a half. Okay, please pay attention. I absolutely think they were sitting there trying to come up with a plan. Now, I can't prove that. That's just my opinion, not a fact. Okay, it's pure speculation. Please pay attention.
From the real TikTok detective, the boat wasn't sinking. They told Cito it was sinking. What's the truth? Was it sinking and they repaired it? Did they have a leak and they repaired it and kept on SOP? Brandon Tatum joining us, former cop, now star of The Officer Tatum. Did the young man explain those travels we just identified?
Yeah, 100%. They did that. I wish that people on the internet would have had an opportunity, and they can go look at the interview that I did with Warren, but they had an opportunity to actually talk to these young men to get.
We don't need to talk to them. We already heard your interview. We already watched it. So you can stop shamelessly plugging yourself. Okay, that's why he said, yeah, the interview's up on my YouTube channel. This is the second time that he has said the interview's up on his YouTube channel, and it's only 15 minutes in to the interview. But he wants to act like Ben Crump is the one that's grifting, race hustling. That's what he's doing. Okay, but I guess the Mega Millions don't care when he does it, as long as he's spewing their rhetoric. Okay, that's how that goes.
Get this in perspective, because some people have no idea how boats function and how they work. They explained to me, they took me on a boat and showed me exactly where they went, where they docked, where did they, stop at, how did they get the bilge pump and the water out of the boat and all of the above. So they were sinking, they were taking on water. The water came up high enough that the batteries weren't working. They had to get a tow to kind of tow them out. Where you can see the young lady saying about 3 miles out. It's a complicated boat's jargon, but they ended up getting the boat out. They ended up getting it to the point where they could run the boat, run the water out of the boat through a hole in the boat that they ended up plugging.
Now, how does he know that this is all true? Just because they told him this? Okay, that's what he believes, because that's what he wants to believe. Now, look at this boat here. Okay, look at this boat. Look how far out they are. Remember I told you all last night, that boat is so far away from everybody. Now, there you see the rope where Bart is supposedly pulling them. Okay? But whose leg is that over the boats? Whose leg is that over the boat? Because if this is, listen, I want you all to pay attention to something. See how that leg is hanging over the boat, right? Don't you think that person, whoever that leg belongs to, and mind you, the Mega Million said this video or this picture was fake. Okay? They said it was fake almost 2 weeks ago when I used it in the thumbnail. But I want you to pay attention because look at that leg. Excuse me, doesn't it seem that the person who that leg belongs to must be lying down? Why is everybody looking down? Because it looks like someone is laying down, flat on their back. Look at that leg. Huh? How else could the leg be hanging in that position unless someone is laying down on the boat? But let's let him cook because he swears he's doing it. Go ahead on, tap dancer.
They explained all this. Anybody that does boating know exactly what they're talking about if you hear them explain it on the interview. So they have an explanation for all of these things. And not only that, Nancy, they showed me.
Well, of course they have explanations. Okay? Of course they have explanations. Please.
Video of them on the boat, and Nolan was not on the boat. Nolan was not on the boat log. And there are people who saw Nolan on the island closer to around 6 p.m., which is far after they left, far after this phone call was made. I saw text messages from the young lady that Nolan was with, the young lady named Katie. I saw her text messages. In her text messages, she said that she heard the boys yelling for Nolan to get on the boat. He did not. She said in her text message that she did not see Nolan get on the boat he came on, which was Wyatt's boat, which is the boat that was sinking and they ended up leaving on. So it wasn't just a statement that they made on a podcast. They were actually showing me evidence to the contrary of what the mainstream YouTubers and some media outlets are putting out to people at large. And so I wish that people would go watch the interview or at least take some time to listen to these boys' statement. And I'll say this, Nancy, too. I wish that the family would have taken the time, or at least Benjamin Crump would have taken the time to reach out to the lawyers or reach out to these young boys to get their statements so they're not wasting their time sending everybody on a rabbit trail when they could have just talked to these boys. And they could have, but they refused, because I saw a message from Warren where he called Nolan's mom twice. I've seen messages from Warren's.
First of all, Miss Christine never denied that Warren called her. She never denied that. Okay, so this is what I want you all to pay attention to. All that Tatum did with this interview with his foolish self, all he really did was just say the same things that we already know to be true. He tries to act as though he proved that people lied about Nolan going alone on a boat to a resort island, to a remote island, with just these 3 white boys. No one ever said that. That's a damn lie. We already know that there was thousands of people, hundreds of people, maybe thousands even, there for the 4th of July weekend. We already know that. It's a very popular spot. This happens every 4th of July there. This is what we already knew. So he didn't prove that. And now he's sitting there saying, I saw proof that Warren called his mother. I saw he called her twice. No one ever said he didn't call her. Fool. Stop trying to act as though you're breaking open a case, that you're exposing lies, because you're not. You're only saying the things that we all already knew and have already agreed to. We know that he called her. That's how she knew and got word that her son was missing. Okay, she never denied that. But let the raccoon keep talking. Let him keep talking.
Stepmother, Ashley, where she sent Nolan's mom a text saying, please reach out to me whenever you're ready. I would like to talk. Other parents I saw messages from who reached out to Nolan's mom saying,
well, who are these other parents, and how come you didn't show that receipt? How come you didn't show any of these other receipts? Now, he showed one from Judge Ashley, okay, which, as I told you all, people can absolutely fake text, okay? They can do that. They can fake text. It's very easy. But my question is, who are these other parents? I want to hear from them. Where is the text? Because I'd like to know their names. Do they even exist? What parents are you talking about? Are you talking about Bart's parents? Are you talking about Bart's dad? Okay. Bart Edmiston Sr., are you talking about him? Are you talking about Warren's parents or Wyatt's mom, Jennifer Pyron? What about Warren's dad? Okay, the one who's suing. The one who's offering the $50,000 reward. like Drew Peterson did. Now, I'm not saying his dad did anything nefarious, and I'm not saying his dad's son or the son did anything nefarious. But what I'm saying is, I just have several questions why in the 11th hour, now all of a sudden he wants to offer reward and act as though he's here to help get justice. Okay, please pay attention. These people are so nefarious.
We need to talk. Can we talk? I'm available if you need to talk to us. I do not understand at this point why Benjamin Crump would go out and put misinformation out online when he had the availability to talk to these kids and clear these things up like I did before he presented this to the public.
I'm sorry, someone please tell me what misinformation Ben Crump put out online. What misinformation, you bumbling idiot? Do you not know that he put out no information that was false? That in fact, when they lied on Ben Crump and said that he was telling a lie about the Cajun Navy finding Nolan fully clothed, that's what they said. The guy that said it, Todd Terrell, he was on Nancy's show. And I really hope that Nancy corrects him because I haven't watched this interview, but let's continue.
Also reached out to Benjamin Crump 4 times. And on the 5th time, they come back and tell us that the family is not doing interviews. We didn't ask to talk to the family. We asked to talk to the attorney, Benjamin Crump. Why? So we can come together as a community and solve what happened to Nolan Wells.
I want you all to sit here. I want you all to listen to this devil sitting here painting this whole fake narrative, sitting here trying to act as though he wants justice for Nolan Wells, sitting here talking about community, the same one who divides the community, the same one who spews racist rhetoric, the same one that's a whole demon who's always biased when it comes to black and white. He never looks at it objectively. It's always racist. It's always black people are stoking racial tensions when it comes to him. These are his talking points. This is what he says. But now he wants to sit up here and act like he's someone of high moral fortitude, like he's some holier than thou. Okay, you MAGA minion piece of ish. You're sitting up there acting so mad right now. Because, see, I haven't watched this video. But to know that he's sitting his black boot-licking self up there, a whole raccoon who sold out and is a sellout, okay, who grits off of black grief and sits there and hates on us and goes along with the rest of the hate that we're given. And you sat there and talked trash about Nolan's mother, about his parents. That's what you did. You said they need to stop inserting race, and then let the police do their job. But are the police doing their darn job? Or are they just speculating the same thing they didn't want us to do? Please make it all make sense. Now, he got me mad as hell. So he's going to sit here on his high horse, this demon drenched in black skin, unfortunately, with a colonized mind and a boot-licking tongue. That's what he's going to do? Rage bait him, Tatum? You want to sit here and cross your hands together, fold your fingers, and look at us and say, this is about us coming together as community? No, it's not. It's about you trying to paint your narrative just as you always do so you can continue to grift the mindless, okay, MAGA minions who have no common sense, no critical thinking skills, who are so biased and so obtuse because their hatred is ingrained in the very fiber of their DNA. You just want to sit there and continue to grift them. And so you'll say anything and everything and paint all kinds of narratives in order to do so. That's who you are. You low down, dirty demon. Okay? You're nothing but a hater. You hate black people and you hate yourself. You hate yourself. If you had one wish, like Ray J said, you'd wish to be as white as snow. But too bad and so sad that you can't be. Okay, so because you can't be, so you take out your anger and angst and self-loathsome and self-hate and rage on us. You can only imagine how you treated black people when you were a failed police officer. Okay, I can only imagine. But keep on tap dancing, because one of these days, and I can't wait for it to come, you're going to get your ninja wake-up call, and I'm going to be right there to report on it, and I can't wait to start laughing, okay? But let's let him continue, because he thinks he's cooking.
Not create and stoke division which is what
Well,
I've seen
Mr.
from
Tatum,
Benjamin
that
Crump.
is exactly what we're trying to do. And I hear everything you're saying. And, you know, I think like a prosecutor. My main goal is to find the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells. And one thing I cannot get away from is the medical examiner. I'm trying to get to tonight's news, which I'm going to get to. But, oh, you were seeing a video from WLOX. Speaking of sinking, is at an alleged issue with the boat bilge. Well, Randy and Bunny on TikTok have their interpretation of that. Watch this.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down there.
That from Randy and Bunny on TikTok. Joe Scott Morgan, very quickly before I can get into why the family believes they need subpoenas to social media giants to get the truth about what happened to Nolan's phone. Anybody can say anything after the fact. Those boys may be innocent. They can look like choir boys, angels now, but I still don't know what happened on that boat. And I still see conflicts. Can they be reconciled? I hope so. But until they are, we're on it. This is what I can't get away from. Control room, please show Joseph Scott Morgan the autopsy diagram of the victim's occipital bone. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I do not care if an archangel lands on this anchor desk. If he lies to me, I'm using handcuffs for his wrists and a rope for his wings. You hear me? Look at that again. Put it back up. He has deep reddening subcutaneously on the back of his head. Nowhere else. It's not on his neck. The back of his neck anyway. Don't see it on the back. Don't see it anywhere else on the body. So I really don't want to hear a lame explanation that it's lividity of the blood sinking to the back of the body. Number one, the body was on its face. But that said, they kept the neck and the lungs. Lungs to see if he drowned. Neck. Why would they keep his neck? I can't get away from this, Joe Scott Morgan, and I don't care how angelic the friends appear, and they may be angels. I don't know that yet. You can't get away from this, Morgan.
No, you can't, and we can't get away from it until the investigation is concluded on the part of the state medical examiner's office and the authorities. And in Mississippi, and I can promise you this, you know, as the day is long, they're not going to release this information because it's an ongoing investigation. I know everybody wants it. Now, what we do have is a second view. We've got a second set of eyes on this from a highly accomplished forensic pathologist, I might add, former chief medical examiner for DC. And he went over Nolan's body very, very thoroughly. And he in his statements relative to this area states that he cannot make heads or tails of it at this point in time because it's compromised, this area I'm referring to in the occipital area of the head, because it has been compromised through decomposition. Now, he did a multi-layered dissection. And what that means is layer by layer, the skin, sub-Q fat, down through the muscle, which had not previously been done in this manner, according to him. I don't even know if it's annotated in the state medical examiner's report because it hasn't been released yet. They're still waiting. It's pending multiple things. How many times have we heard this over the years? They're doing their own histological studies, which means the tissue samples. And also the big part to this, Nancy, is going to be the toxicology. And we know that that takes some time. And it's not just going to be about alcohol. It's going to be everything in the spectrum.
If you can hear people talking but can't understand them, watch this.
Best way to hear clearly again at 75?
$5,000.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. If you are a homeowner, you probably
without a lawyer. And so, and they cooperated with law enforcement. So from my understanding, everybody took a
Why do you say
polygraph
that's
test
from
but
what
one.
you understand? Did they tell you they took a poly and passed?
They told yes, ma'am. They told me that they did it. I wasn't there. So that's why I'm saying from my understanding, they told me that all the boys except one, which is Warren, I believe, took a polygraph test. All of them did not have lawyers and did it and cooperated with police. Warren also cooperated with police. I just believe he didn't take a lot of take the test, but Warren is the young man that I interviewed. So according to what they told me, they all took a lot of tech tests and passed. And it's an equivalent of a lot of tech test. It's not a traditional lot of tech test, but it's the same theology of trying to get to if a person is lying. I don't know the name of it. It's an equivalent of a lot of tech tests. It's a different methodology. Yeah, I don't believe it was a polygraph test. I believe they took other stressors.
Don't you all think he's lying? Because how do you know all of this and you can give such conclusive details? Okay, let him tell it, but he doesn't know what type of test it actually was. Okay, I thought he had receipts.
In order to analyze if
So
the
then
people were
the
telling the
answer
truth or
to
not.
did they take a polygraph would be no.
Well, yeah, I think it could be semantics because they took a.
It's not semantics. It's not semantics, tap dancing Tatum. Either they took a polygraph or they did not. And also, how you know he's lying is because if they actually took a test, they could have shown him the results. They could have shown him the results. And since they didn't, why is he stuttering? Why is he sitting up here stuttering? Okay, Nancy's giving him a run for the hills. If they'd actually taken a polygraph test or anything equivalent to it, he could have shown us the results. Okay, why didn't he do that? Since he wants to show text message screenshots, why didn't he show us the results? He can't show us the results because he never saw any. Because had he seen some, he would know exactly what kind of tests they supposedly took. I don't think they took any darn thing. Okay, sit down somewhere, tap dancer.
Test to analyze whether or not they were being truthful in their statements, and that certified test, they passed it. It just wasn't considered a traditional polygraph. I think it's a more advanced way of doing it.
Brandon Tatum. Hold on. In a nutshell, Joe Scott, there is a difference between a polygraph, which measures all sorts of body signals, your sweat, your breathing, your heart, your blood pressure, all sorts of things, and an audio verification test. Big difference.
Yeah. So the audio is, you're looking for stressors in the voice, and these people are highly trained to do this. And I'm, look, you know how the courts feel about these tests. Are they admissible or not? But I think that, going to Brandon's point, the fact that they have taken these, at least those named allegedly have taken these, according to him, I think that that's significant. Now, whether or not that this is going to be usable, a usable investigative tool, is hard to measure.
I didn't ask you if it's going to be used in court. That's a whole nother animal. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Okay, there may never even be a court case. First, I got to find out what happened to Nolan. Okay, so let's not put the cart before the horse. You've got eye detections tests. I don't put any stock in that as to whether somebody's lying. You've got nonverbal communication experts claiming they can tell. You've got brainwave analysis. You've got all sorts of things. I want a poly. Right. I'm not saying they did anything or they didn't do anything. Go, strap up, take me a poly. Officer Tatum, star of the Officer Tatum on YouTube. I've been told, but I can't verify, that the boat in question has been searched by scent dogs and cadaver dogs. Is that true?
I'm not familiar if that's true. Let me just clarify. The test that they took was a voice stress analysis test instead of what we call a traditional polygraph test. But I'm not familiar with the cadaver dog searching the boat. I wasn't informed that that was the case. But I was told by the boys that they did not wash the boat off or do any of those things that they were accused of doing, after this incident.
Right.
So why would someone, and I'm not saying they committed any crime. I have my suspicions, but that's a whole nother story. But at the end of the day, think about this. If someone actually did commit a crime and they tried to clean up the evidence, are they really going to admit that to anyone if they have sense? Okay, please sit down somewhere. Let's continue.
And I say, based on all the things that I've heard, it appears that they've been very truthful with me and law enforcement. They've already communicated with law enforcement very early on.
Okay, Officer Tatum, coming from you, I do give that credence because you were a Tucson PD. I've had people sit down, look me right in the face and lie, and they are so convincing. So I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know what happened, and that's why I really resent people suggesting the investigation be shut down. We're not doing that until we know what happened. Officer Tatum interviewed multiple of the young men on that boat. Now, let me address what's happened in the last hours. The family is not buying what they are saying, that nothing was deleted. They're not saying they're lying. They're not saying they're telling the truth. They have hit social media giants with subpoenas once and for all to get everything there is to get about Nolan Wells Digital. Okay, straight out to Dr. Jim Jones joining us out of Virginia. Dr. Jones, cybersecurity digital forensics expert, digital forensics program director, associate professor, George Mason University. Okay, can't argue with that. Okay, Dr. Jones, what will the evidence reveal? Let's just start on Nolan Wells's cell phone. Let's start with Snapchat.
Sure. So on his cell phone, any images taken for whatever app are going to be stored locally, at least temporarily. So Snap is one of those apps that deletes the picture afterwards. The key here is that when digital files are deleted, the data does not immediately go away. So the data is left intact, at least for fractions of a second, sometimes hours, days, weeks. So what they'll find, assuming that they have access to the unencrypted data on the phone, is they will find bits and pieces of old text messages, videos, pictures taken, and that might reveal something that they can timestamp to the event in question, yet the picture is not still in the active files. That would suggest a deletion.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Let me see, Jones. Dr. Jones, I'm just a trial lawyer. I can subpoena it and I can see it.
Yes.
Okay, that made perfect sense. Now I get it. So my son is telling the truth that it disappeared.
Yes.
To him.
To him.
But not to Snap. Okay. All right. What about WhatsApp? That doesn't disappear.
Correct. WhatsApp does not disappear, but WhatsApp is also purported to be encrypted. So Meta moved in a very big disappointment to anybody who cares about child safety to make WhatsApp end-to-end encrypted. So good luck to law enforcement trying to get anything that happened on that app.
To Dr. Jim Jones, digital forensics expert, associate professor, George Mason University, program director, on and on. Dr. Jones, I, like Nolan's mother, find it very unusual that Nolan, for a period of hours, there's nothing. He is a prolific snapper, Insta, you name it. There's nothing there. I got a problem, number one, of him separating himself from the phone. But no teen does that. Nobody does that. But if he's out in the water, he may leave it on the boat so it doesn't get damaged. But I find it hard to believe that he left the boat, leave with it and his keys, and that he wasn't taking pictures and on the boat, on the way out there. Where's all that? That's human behavior, which is not your forte. But Dr. Jones, explain to me what these subpoenas mean. Dr. Jones, from what we're learning in the last 24 hours, Nolan's family demands all IP addresses associated with his accounts, all communications, chats, posts, stories. You can explain later to Tanya what is a story, and all other information. The phone is critical because there's nothing on it for the critical hours. Subpoenas issued in the last hours to Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Meta, all Meta platforms, and all location tracking platforms, including Life 360. Okay, doctor, what does it mean?
So what they're trying to do is find everything that was pushed up to the servers. And as Tatiana pointed out, some of this content is encrypted as it goes through the servers. So they won't be able to see the content on the server, but they'll have a record that an image or a video or a message came through. So what I would be looking at is I would compare what the providers, the servers show to what's on the phone. And if I find a discrepancy, that would suggest that something has been deleted from the phone. Anybody that had access to the phone could easily delete something on the phone, much harder to delete what's being held on the servers from the phone.
I assume his phone had a password. There are certain things that you need the password to do, such as delete activity. But if you don't have a password and you picked up your phone, if you're touching the screen, that leaves a trace. If you're trying to power it off, that leaves a trace. So we should be able to see people without a password trying to actively interact with that phone, as well as someone that has it. So we would do a forensic acquisition, and that's really important here. Someone just looking in the phone, you can get a glimpse, but you can't see what's deleted and hiding below the surface. We need a forensic acquisition to do that. We can tell if it was just soft deleted, so like sitting in a trash can, or a hard delete. So if you empty your trash on your phone and then you go and throw it into a dumpster and the trash is taken away, there is a log that tracks everything. Also with timestamps on when that activity occurred.
Digital expert Heather Barnhart. Okay, is a subpoena, Dr. Jim Jones, is a subpoena the equivalent of an acquisition, a forensics digital acquisition?
Yeah, good question. No, very different. So the subpoena is going to the providers, the companies that provide these services, and it says, hey, what is on your servers? The physical acquisition is going to get a copy of the raw data stored on the phone. And to Heather's point, what you see through the interface is only a small fraction of what's actually stored on the device. It's a very busy place and things are being replaced and removed all the time. The physical acquisition will take a snapshot in time of anything that's left, in particular, the fragments. She also made a very good point about the logs. Phones, modern smartphones, keep very detailed logs. It's not the picture, but it will tell you that someone deleted a picture, and you may even have a timestamp or other metadata that would help you know something about that content, even if you can't see the content anymore.
So, Dr. Jim Jones, if I delete something, let's just pretend it's a text. We delete a text. Then you go to the deleted file and delete it from the deleted file. We can't see it, but there is a record of that, and it is very likely revivable.
Yes, to the record, for sure. There's a record of that action happening. Revivability depends on how long it's been since it was deleted and what else the phone has been doing. So it's a very unpredictable process. Think of it as something that decays over time. Sometimes that decay is very rapid, sometimes it's slow.
And we know there's a difference in retrieval time on an iPhone versus an Android. It's a very delicate process. John Mobley, veteran trial lawyer, South Carolina. What is it Nolan's mother wants from social media giants?
Everything. That's what they want. And I've been saying this from the beginning. These are the types of things they should have been doing from the beginning. Not press conferences, not grandstanding, not the all show, no go, but getting the actual data from the phone so they can get real answers to put all the information regarding what happened in context. They will know if anything was posted, if anything was deleted, if it was communicating with someone. This is the real work that needs to be done. This is how we all get answers.
If your child used TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat,
American homeowners. The FBI has been warning about a type of
records could show that, because every time a cell phone talks to a tower, a record is created.
excellent. The ping trail. Okay, back to Officer Tatum, star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube. Did the young men you interviewed, I believe it was 4 of them, state that Nolan did not have reception, or did they explain why there are no pictures, texts, instas, nothing on his phone? Did they have an explanation for that?
Yes, ma'am. They didn't mention anything about whether Nolan has service or not, but they articulated the reason why Nolan may not have, certain pictures on his phone. And they had mentioned because Nolan spent the night at their house the night before, because it's traditional for the last few years that they actually went to Horn Island together. But they were saying that they had taken pictures at the house. Some of the pictures that you've seen floating around online were pictures that they took on the boat, but they didn't take those pictures when they got out there to Horn Island, because they were having fun. And I would argue that they were drinking, and I couldn't imagine that they want to get underage drinking on camera. So what they had articulated to me, that it wasn't abnormal for people not to snap and not to do a lot of pictures and things like that, because they were focused on.
But you told me they showed you pictures and videos.
Yeah,
so
but
they
it's
did
not
take
uploaded.
pictures and videos.
No. It's not a lot of pictures, and they weren't uploaded. So when you're talking about Snapchat, you're talking about a platform where people are uploading images and pictures to produce to the world. What they showed me were things that they had recorded on their phone, and it wasn't a lot of different things, because most of what they did was drinking and having fun in the water. And so, what they had articulated to me as well is that it's not abnormal for people not to snap. It's not abnormal for you not to have your phone. And Nolan wasn't the only person that left his phone on the boat. They also mentioned to me, and you could see it in the interview that they did, was that they had no reason to touch Nolan's phone. They weren't thinking about Nolan's phone when they thought the boat was sinking. And when they got to the house, it was no incident when it comes to Nolan getting the phone back to the friend and parent.
You're going far afield from my question. Let me redirect you back to their phones. Nolan has nothing on his phone. They have pictures and videos on their phones. You told me that they exist, whether they posted them or not. So they were taking pictures and videos. Don't you see why Nolan's mom, is concerned there's nothing on her son's phone?
Well, Nancy.
And let me tell you something. There's videos. Okay, someone posted a video of people at Horn Island in the water with, guess what? Their phones. Oh, yeah. There's video footage of people in the water at Horn Island with their cell phones in hand. Okay? So we're supposed to believe that an 18-year-old just didn't want their phone and decided to let y'all just sail away on a boat with it while they're stranded on an island? Definitely don't believe that.
See, it's unclear exactly what the mother is articulating, because at one point she's concerned that there's not a lot of Snapchats or social media posting. She did not articulate, or the Benjamin Crump did not mention that there's nothing on his phone. So they're not saying that the phone was wiped and there's no images or anything. She was concerned about his social media frequency, which I believe, after talking to the boys, it was consistent with what they said, and it was consistent with basic deductive reasoning that maybe he didn't post a lot on that day. So what remains a focus for me, and if I was investigating this
Not
case,
talking about
I
posting.
would want to know.
Not talking about whether he posted, officer.
No,
He didn't
what
even
I'm saying
take
is that
anything. There's no pictures. There's no anything.
That's what the mom is saying, but we haven't had an opportunity to either see or hear exactly what she's trying to articulate. Some of the things that she said in the media is that she's talking about posting. I don't believe she said that there was nothing at all on his phone, no pictures, no nothing. But I wasn't able to verify that. So if I was able to see Nolan's phone and the mother was able to show me exactly what she's articulating, I'll be able to have a better perspective in comparison to what Warren and the other boys were telling me. So at this point, I only have one side of it, and then I have a fractured perception from what the media or what the mother is saying in the media. So when the police officers look at his phone and they do a forensic extraction, if they're allowed to do that, they will see plainly if Nolan was on his phone, if he had taken pictures, and if they were deleted. Now, I'll implement this as we begin to try to guess and figure out what was happening on that day. It doesn't seem to be reasonable to suggest that the boys were in his phone deleting things. Now, after hanging out with the boys and getting to know them well, they're very intelligent young men, very savvy, and they were raised well. I would project, if I were to make an assumption, that if they were trying to cover up something that happened to Nolan, I would perceive that they would throw the phone in the water or something where it never would be recovered. Or if they had access to get into the phone, they wouldn't just delete, they would just completely rewrite the phone or, do a hard reset. Or they wouldn't give the phone back to mama or the family anyway. So with those factors put in place and what I've talked to them about, it seems as if their story seems consistent to me, that they did not get in the phone. They did not know his password. They had no reason to believe that there was a necessity to get in the phone.
Officer,
and they gave it
I'm
over
not
to the
saying
family.
you're wrong. I'm saying I'm not taking anybody's word for anything until I investigate it and corroborate it. Again,
that's fair.
Maybe they're completely innocent. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Or maybe someone else had something to do with Nolan's death. I don't know, but I will find out. And you said, I don't know what she said exactly. Well, here is what Nolan's mother said.
When we opened it up, there was nothing. There were no saved pictures. There were no snaps from that day. And we did open it before the 24-hour expiration. So we found that very concerning, only because anyone who's ever been around Nolan will tell you at social gatherings, he's taking videos, he's taking pictures, he's even come up to me when I'm getting ready to go to bed. Hey, Ma, come on, take a picture of me. Like that was Nolan. So that's why we feel that things may have been deleted, was because of the fact that there was nothing in either one of his accounts.
Okay, to Tanya Jordan, Bart, parental control officer and author, do you understand what she just said? I do. Explain it.
Absolutely. When a child dies, every second, every hour, every day matters. Families and investigators need timely access to lawfully requested evidence so they can find answers and hold the right people accountable. And Snapchat claims to respond to most legal requests in 2 to 3 weeks, but critics say some investigations have taken months, which delays justice. Meta, Instagram, right? There aren't many kids on Facebook these days. There's no public average for subpoena response times, but it varies. It varies. And investigators have criticized delays in some really high-profile child safety and teen death cases. WhatsApp, we talked about that earlier. Even with a warrant, Meta generally cannot read or produce message content because it doesn't have it. That's what we were talking about with the challenges with encryption. It's not a response time thing, it's the encryption. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I just felt it was really important to be very clear about what we need for justice and what social media companies are not providing in a timely manner.
Did you know there's a type of insurance that pays you while you're still alive? Most homeowners have never heard of it. It's called mortgage protection insurance with living benefits.
You're very clear. I want Tatum to be right. I want this to be easily explainable when we know all the facts. But we will not stop until we know the facts. If you know or think you know anything regarding Nolan's case, please dial 228-769-3063. If only I could put a keg of dynamite under the social media giant's rear end and get those answers now, I would. There is a $125,000 reward for information leading to the truth of what happened to Nolan.
Okay, so please pay attention. We're not going to stop until there's some justice. At the end of the day, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. At the end of the day, this has got to stop, okay? The false narratives and all of that, the hate being spewed because we simply want justice, the same thing that everyone else is absolutely entitled to.
They're already trying to do. This is disgusting. Nolan Wells was drinking heavily while partying with friends on Mississippi's Horn Island before his death, according to a new report. So this is them trying to control the narrative. They're trying to rewrite the story right now. And shame on TMZ. Like, I saw another creator say, I've been having the side eye on TMZ since the beginning. So have I. This actually feels so, just the energy behind it, just physically, this feels sick. Like, this is how the media twists things. Shame on them. It's disgusting. Like, for them to act like they actually are on this, that they care about Nolan Wells. This kid doesn't even look like a kid who would be drinking heavily, just energy wise. And I'm not saying I'm this well-known spiritual energy expert, but I tap into energy. I meditate daily. You cannot fake intuition. You cannot fake energy. Someone who understands, and most people have said that they feel this is a kid or a young boy who has never, doesn't even look like he drinks. He looks like he's focused on life, sports, being an athlete. He's kind. He's a soul that loves. This is the energy that he holds. So this is what I'm saying, people. They're going to try. Now that audio got released, they're trying to twist it. They're going to try to change it. They're going to try to turn it and totally, because this is what they do. This is what the white system does. This is what's been happening for centuries. This is what white people, we do this. And white people, if you have a hard time hearing that and it's triggering, then you have a problem, because you should understand. You should be in a state of awareness to understand this has been going on for a very long time. The original blueprint of humanity is Black, and white people need to wake up. They need to understand what has been going on, what system has been put into the collective, onto Black people. The system, this horrible system created by the white palm. And this is what they're doing. So that audio came out, and now where are the arrests? Where are the arrests of those boys on the boat? There was many people on that boat. We all heard it with our own ears. That audio. This is, and then we have Officer Race Tatum, that he's disgusting. He is a disgrace. And people like Ben Crump are just trying to help, trying to find answers. The family are just asking answers. And this is the thing about the collective. There's such a divide. And it's people like ex-Officer Tatum, people like that, people who are in the comment section saying horrible stuff. You guys are about the division. You guys are about the division. That is who is about the division. People are just trying to find answers what happened to this soul. But you guys all have a problem with that? It's honestly, it's disgusting at this point. It is disgusting. And there is many names. This has happened for centuries. See what they're already trying to do?
Okay, shout out to her. Marie Mayer on TikTok. Okay, at the end of the day, she's absolutely right. And I'm glad people like her are calling it out. Okay, because, at the end of the day, it's the truth. And people need to have accountability. Now, I'm going to go to this next video, but I have muted the volume because they're playing some very loud music in the background. But this looks like it's possibly Nolan on Horn Island. Okay. See there on the boats? I know it's kind of hard to see, but that looks like Nolan. It's a Black guy standing there with the hair like Nolan, wearing blue swim trunks. Now, maybe that's not him. I don't know. The trunks, of course, would look darker after they get wet. Okay, so please pay attention. And then it looks like we see what's his face? Warren. And it sounds like he's saying something about he broke his glasses or he lost his glasses. But again, I say the music or the volume is muted because of the music. Right there. That looks like Warren to me. What do you all say? I'm going to roll it back. You all let me know if that looks like Warren to you. Okay, he's saying something about his glasses. Isn't that Warren? Or that looks a whole lot like him. Once in the chat if you agree that that looks like him. It looks like a day that started off so pleasant and peaceful with everyone anticipating to have a good time, and sadly, it ended in tragedy. And in my opinion, that tragedy is being grossly covered up. And every time there seems to be a bit of evidence that comes out, or it's what we at least think is evidence, then here they come with something to counter it, something negative to say about Nolan, or something negative to say about his family, or coming out and making the people that were with him the day he left to go to Horn Island, making them out to be the victims, acting as though whatever they're going through is so much more, and it's so much more amplified than what Nolan's family is going through. That's the play they give. We see the play. We see the play. When it was all about Austin Metcalf, who lost his life, they demanded. They didn't ask for it. They demanded justice. That's what they did. They demanded justice. They did everything they could. Lied, cheated, and stole. Mike Howard's already proved that with that affidavit. And I believe every word that he said in it. Now they want to say that Mike Howard is the liar. He was just on y'all's team. Y'all gonna kick him off because he sat there and flipped the script and told it all? Okay, to save himself, no less. Michael says, what I was saying, somebody may have a pic of little bro gone in their phone. Suckers love to flash it up. Well, somebody definitely, in my opinion, went in his phone. The phone wouldn't have just been empty, deleted. None of his social media had anything on it. Please make that make sense. Okay? Please make it all make sense. I absolutely agree. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Yeah, that looks exactly like Warren to me. 2 witnesses have come forward. Nolan stayed back. Yeah, now he's a drunk. Let them tell it. Okay, that's what they want us to think. Look at all those people out there and nobody saw anything. I'll tell you what. At the end of the day, there were so many people out there that if anything happened to him right there on that island amongst all those people in boats and everything, someone should easily have been able to see it. But in the meantime, if you're way out far on a boat out there by yourselves and it's just you, excuse me, in another boat, well, maybe the only people that could see anything are the people that did it. And I'm not saying anyone did anything. I'm just saying, let's just say hypothetically, if someone wanted to commit a nefarious crime and they were in the middle out in 30 feet and there's no one watching, well, maybe no one would see anything. I'm sorry, I forgot I was muted. I'm sitting here talking. What I was saying was, if you're out there on Horn Island, let's talk about this hypothetically. If you're out there and there's no one, there's all of those boats that I just showed you all in the first video with the one that looked like Warren and Nolan. If you're out there and all those boats around, how can anyone see something happen if something happened, right? I mean, of course they would see something if something actually happened, right? So if someone was out there drowning, I would imagine that someone would see them splashing in the water. Like I told you all the first day this story came out. You would expect that you'd see someone out there splashing in the water, trying to get to the surface, someone calling for help. You would see something. Someone would hear something, right? With all of those people, no one saw anything, and maybe no one saw anything because maybe it didn't happen right there in front of everybody. But I want you all to pay attention because in the video that I just showed you, you see how that boat was out there so far away from everyone. There was no other boats around. Now, if a person, and I'm not saying these people, I'm just making up a hypothetical scenario. If someone wanted to do something nefarious on Horn Island and they were out to the middle of the water and there's no other boats around and maybe one other boat with their friends in it and everybody did something that they didn't want anybody to know about it, well, then likely the only people who would have seen it would be the people who did it. And again, I'm not saying anyone did anything, but I absolutely think that somebody did something to Nolan. Okay, that's absolutely what I think at the end of the day, because it makes no sense. And if it doesn't make sense, according to Judge Judy, it's a lie. Okay, it's a lie. So please pay attention. Now I'm going to go to a couple of other clips and then we're out of here. Now, this woman in this video is responding to a comment that someone left her about Nolan Wells. And it's very interesting how these people paint narratives.
Horn Island around 3 o'clock because of the tide. Well, the tide doesn't come in the same time every single day, so that's already a weird statement to me. Tide depends on the moon, and the moon ain't the same every day, so that already doesn't make sense. And just to verify, on the 4th of July 2026, the tide would have been high at 1 o'clock. So it would have been going to low tide till 10:32. So I still don't get the 3 o'clock. Tide's not coming in. I don't understand that. And according to multiple comments way before the incident, this is where you go to see all of the fireworks. Last year, we've seen 3 different cities display. From where? From Horn Island. So again, why is everybody leaving at 3 o'clock? I get the one guy's got taking in water on the boat. Okay, cool, got it. There was a shit ton more boats than that were there. So why was everybody leaving 3:30, 4 o'clock? It's not the tide, because that was at 1 o'clock, according to science and the moon. So it wasn't the time we always leave. That doesn't fucking make sense. So again, why is everybody leaving so early when fireworks don't start until 9 o'clock?
Now, that's a good question. Okay, that's a very good question. At the end of the day, were they going to a pool party, perhaps? Okay, I have questions. And let's not forget that you can absolutely, and I showed you all the receipts where you can change metadata, right? If you have the original video or picture, you can absolutely change metadata. That's how that works. Okay, that's how that works. Now let's go to this last clip and then we're out of here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you, beloveds. I appreciate you.
This is the exact reason I tell my kids, friend or no friend, you can't trust anybody. How is it possible for a group of friends to go to Mississippi's Horn Island, but when they come back home, they come back without somebody that they went with? And they're going to say race ain't play a part. You see everybody in this picture right here. Tell me what looks different. Tell me. You had an 18-year-old accomplished football star, Nolan Wells, goes to Mississippi Horn Island with his friends on the 4th of July. And then he turns up missing. Mind you, all of his friends make it home safe. And the person that went with them, Nolan Xavier Wells, he's missing. And nobody has nothing to say about that. You have his so-called friends saying that they don't remember anything. They don't remember seeing what happened to him. Mind you, they have pictures on the boat. Mind you, they have pictures together. But nobody knows what happened to him. Now you got the Coast Guard, sheriff deputies, Marine units, and multiple agencies searching for him right now. They're searching the waters, searching surrounding areas, trying to figure out what happened. They're also saying that the last time he was seen with a team. They're also saying that they found his phone, but they didn't find him. What team do you know right now would leave his phone behind? Tell me that. But you see how all of this sounds? This is why disappearances like this and places like this always leave people questioning. If you spend time looking into missing person cases like this, then you already know what may be the outcome. Do you understand how this young man's parents has to feel? They just want their kid back. We definitely need to spread the word about this. We need some answers.
Such a shame. Such a sad and pathetic shame. Now, Katano says, "Hi, Queen. Report people who copy your videos to YouTube. Go to the YouTube, go to videos and report it to YouTube. They will lose their channel. People who sue open discovery." You know, that's a good idea. I absolutely could think, I never thought about doing that. I just said, I have to just sit here and let her get away with it. But you're absolutely right. I should do something about it because that is my intellectual property. Thank you for that, beloved. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not about people reporting on the same stories, because I never have a problem with that. It's not even about people using your receipts, because many of us use other people's receipts. But those of us who have decency, those of us who are not clout chasers and grifters, we always give credit. We always give credit. We shout the people out. Let me tell you something. Dane Calloway is a big YouTuber, well respected, and I absolutely love Dane Calloway. I don't know him, but I absolutely love Dane Calloway because of his history research that he and his wife do. Okay, he puts out amazing information. With that all being said, he used one of my videos. Okay, and I didn't get mad. I felt good. It's like, oh, Dane Calloway's watching the Queen's channel. Okay. At the end of the day, I was proud of that. And guess what? When he used my video, he shouted me out. Okay? No matter how many views or many subscribers he has, no matter how much bigger his platform is than mine, he shouted me out. Okay, and that's respectful. That's the right thing to do. When you have so many more subscribers than a person and they are a smaller YouTuber, see, some of these people like Tisa Tales, they think they can just steal your stuff. Even your talking point, she literally copies the words that come out of my mouth. And later on, I think I'm going to show you all that. I think I'm going to do it again. I've done it at least 10 times and you all know it. Okay, because it was going on the whole time with the Diddy trial. I showed you all how I can say something and then she'll come right back on her live and say the same exact thing, knowing good and well she got it from me and won't give a piece of credit. But not just to me. She's done it to other people as well. Like I told you, The Lounge, that girl Henny, Danny Robinson. Okay, she's done that to a myriad of people. And that's just to name a few. I mean, the list goes on. But at the end of the day, she does it because she feels she can get away with it, because she has such a huge and massive platform. She has over 500,000. I only have 46,000. So with that all being said, of course she's going to steal, because that's what thieves do. Okay, that's what thieves do. And that's how you know that she's disingenuous. Because if she was genuine, if she really wanted justice, she'd be sitting here doing the research herself. Now, I'm not going to say she doesn't do some research, but a lot of the stuff that she does and puts out, she absolutely gets it from other people, specifically me, for the most part. Okay, and that's just the facts. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Okay, thank you, Katano, beloved. I appreciate you. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Yes, that's right, Mel. Mel said that's like plagiarism. It absolutely is. And you see people who do things like that, who just copy and paste other people's talking points, their intellectual property and ideas and all of that, they're never respected, okay, by the scholarly community. Okay, we don't look at them as anyone who creates anything. We just look at them as thieves, as colonizers. She's colonizing my YouTube channel. That's what she's doing, okay? Just like her nefarious ancestors. And pay attention to how she always constantly feels the need to say, my 4 Black grandparents. She doesn't have 4 Black grandparents. Sit down somewhere, allegedly, okay, because that's not what we heard. And not that that matters, but the fact of the matter is that she feels the need to lie about certain things. Okay. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Everyone, please like, share, subscribe. Okay. Make sure you have your notifications on, because I will be back later on this evening. And until then, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace. And as I leave, I'm going to play the new song created for the Queen, okay, the real Queen of Receipts, by Truth Brown.
Sing it for me, Royals. Sing it. Sing out loud. Queen. Yeah. Queen Ahmadiyyah, Shakur. Queen Ahmadiyyah, Shakur, Shakur. Queen Ahmadiyyah, Shakur, Shakur. We know you listening. Just pay respect. Queen of receipts, queen of receipts, teaser, the lady of lies. We here for the queen, you here for lies. All hail the mighty queen. Dropping receipts, you know you heard it here first. Queen, 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 yeah, you know what it is. Queen of receipts. No, nobody drop it like the queen. Oh, be aware, tease her ass out here lying. Just be prepared. No, girl, you didn't hear that shit till the queen said it. You don't have receipts for nothing. Yeah, teaser is telling lies. All hail the queen, dropping receipts. Sing that, sing out loud. Queen. Yeah. We know you listening. Just pay respect. Nobody move like the queen. Nobody prove like the queen. Teaser spinning stories, we just stacking scenes. Receipts on receipts, paper trail clean. You talking, we documenting different regime. Oh.